The Sesh Podcast, episode 234, take 1.
What's up, summer divas, and welcome back to The Sesh, the show for summer, for all your summertime needs, for all your summertime joy and happiness. And today's episode is nothing like that. Today's episode is quite serious, actually. I'll explain in a sec.
But very interesting.
Yes, very interesting.
Very interesting.
It's a topic that we had talked about it earlier, that we were going to cover this topic like a month ago. It was on the day that Charlie passed away that we were supposed to cover it. He passed that morning, and we were not, obviously. I don't need to explain.
Not.
We've waited a while because it is so heavy, and Sydney put in a ton of work into collecting all the information.
Yes.
We're going to be covering the Bad Influence documentary on Netflix, and it is mind-blowing. I am shocked that I had never heard about this when it was going on. I had no idea who Piper Rockelle even was. I'm blown away. I've now watched this documentary 3 times, maybe even 4.
Really?
I've watched it several times, because I watched it 2 when we were originally going to cover it, and now it's been a month, so I rewatched it yesterday, and then we watched some this morning, I've seen it a lot, and every time there's so much information in there that every time I pick up something new, and I'm just like, my jaw is on the floor. I cannot believe this is real. One
of the worst child influencer stories that we've ever talked about on here, and Piper is, I guess, the main child influencer, but there's other ones as well that we'll talk about. But really, they're the victims in this. It's these fucking parents that exploited the crap out of their kids, and still do, many of them, for years. And I think probably potentially the worst child influencer, parents that we've ever talked about.
Yeah, especially
or that even exist.
Piper's mom, Tiffany.
Just
evil woman, in my opinion.
Stuff that she put her daughter through, as well as other people's children, is absolutely shocking.
She's a monster. There's no other way to describe it. It is so much worse than I could have even imagined, and there's so much to talk about, so much to break down. It's a really important topic that we knew you guys would be interested in. I mean, we've done a lot of coverage on kids in the influencer space and parents exploiting their kids online. I mean, this is something we've been over so many times, but this truly probably one of the worst cases.
I've seen comments of you guys asking us to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And it's weird that not a lot of people have, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, it didn't get a whole lot of publicity, this documentary.
Which I genuinely don't understand, because it's truly insane, you guys. You'll see when we talk about it.
People need to see this. Yeah. But we have a lot to go over with that. That's going to be the main and only topic today, because we do have so much to speak on. Yeah. But before we get started, first of all, I'm Kendall. What's up?
Hey, I'm Janelle. What's up? And we're joined by Karelly and Sydney. What's up?
Hello. What's up?
What's up?
Just what here. Up?
Yeah. Just here.
Just here.
Being alive.
Being a diva.
That's right. We are divas.
Are we divas?
Mm-hmm.
Divas.
I am such a diva.
You know who's a diva?
Well, high maintenance. Yeah.
Your daughter. She's so cute, and she's a little diva.
Oh my God, she is such a diva.
She was very cute this weekend for 4th.
She's so funny, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
It was so sweet. I don't know. It's just, I've never really been around kids, and being we celebrated.
Celebrated.
Yeah.
We had a summer celebration.
Yeah, we had a summer celebration.
Holly. Yeah.
And it was just so cute, seeing her being a little girl, and just seeing her
I know.
Wow,
she's adorable.
She's so cute.
The personality is fully out and about.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
she's hilarious.
She is.
The things that she says, she said something last night that was so. I had my phone up, and on my messages, you know how it has you can set it to where there's little icons for your top contacts, and there's one for Josh, obviously, and she saw it, and she's like, can I press the daddy button?
The daddy button.
That is
she's
so
because I want him to come upstairs. He was downstairs feeding the dog, so she thinks that if we press the daddy button, it summons him.
Aww.
That is so cute.
Because at night she likes him to come up and say goodnight one more time. He brings her up to me, and then I get her ready for bed and everything. But then he needs to come up for his
One more time.
But she likes to press the button to summon him up.
Oh, that's so funny.
She's so funny, dude. And she, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but when we were talking about all the funny phrases she says recently, another one she says is like, "Mommy, don't stress me out."
Yeah.
Did I share that last week?
So.
Yeah. That one's just so killing me lately. She says it all the time. Don't stress me out. And don't stress Daddy out.
Wow.
Daddy, don't stress Mommy out. It's so funny. Hilarious. That's why,
so
like,
funny.
and especially like having a kid like that, I just can't imagine putting her through what Piper's mom has. It's like,
yeah,
just devastating. I feel so bad for her.
What
And all
Piper
these
has
kids.
gone through and all these kids is absolutely wild. She's 17. She'll be 18 in August. So she's still a minor.
Yeah. Which you were saying this morning, you were kind of showing me what she's posting now.
Yeah.
And you were like, I assume she's 18 by like how insane these posts are.
Yeah.
And she's not. She's not even. She'll be 18, I think, August 21st.
And again, I put no blame on her. I mean, she's literally a kid and has been in this since she was really young. So she knows no different. And I can't imagine the pressure that she has on her shoulders just from her parents, her family, her, society. It's just insane.
Well, her dad's not in the picture, right?
True.
It's just, just her mom.
I guess more so like her family in general. And,
Yeah.
She is the reason that they have the lifestyle they do.
Yep.
So it's like, what are you going to do? Just quit?
One of the main pressures she deals with is they have like 1 billion cats, and their
litter
cat. No, seriously, their food cost for the cats is $20,000. So she has pressure to make sure that she keeps this up so that the cats can be fed. Like, it is fucked, you guys. This is going to blow your mind when we get into it. But before we do, we want to kind of start on a mixture of sad and happy note, okay?
It can be a happy note.
Today I think it should be a happy note. Today we're celebrating the life of Charlie.
Charlie's birthday is today, July 7th.
When we're recording.
It's his heavenly birthday. He turned 13 today. And it was really sweet. The girls surprised me with a cake earlier.
Did.
A little nothing bundt cake, which is just so sweet that you guys thought to do that. I have my little Charlie, one of my Charlie dolls here. I don't think I've showed you guys this one. My mom got me this one. It looks exactly like him. The fur feels like him. His tongue is out.
The tongue.
Yeah,
I know.
the tongue is just...
The tongue just like...
I can't believe this wasn't a custom dog
I know.
she just found the exact one.
And she was like, oh my God.
It feels exactly like him. It's
like
crazy.
Him. And his little tongue's out. And today would have been his 13th birthday. And I miss him so much. I was looking at pictures from his 12th birthday last year, and he had his little... I always do something for their birthdays with little hats, and he was eating his pineapple with whipped cream on it, which is like his favorite thing in the world. And I didn't know that was his last birthday. I remember thinking like, 12 years old, and he was like, I mean, you guys know he seemed fine up until he wasn't, so I had no idea it was coming, but I remember being like, hopefully... I'll have at least a couple more of these. So it's just weird to think that, I didn't know that'd be his last one. I guess you never really know that it's someone's or something's last birthday.
I still just can't believe it.
Yeah, I
so
can't
weird.
either. I miss him more than anything, and more every day. And the more time that goes by without him, the more like I get scared that I'll like forget all of his little isms, all
Do you ever,
his little quirks.
You could write them down.
Yeah, I should. That's a good idea.
That's what I do with Holly. Is
you do?
Yeah, I have
That's
a little
good
notes
idea.
app where I just write down random things, like the fact that she said Nook for milk when she was a baby, and I love that I can still like look back at
that's
them.
a great idea.
Because you do forget things over time.
Yeah, I miss him a lot.
Yeah, we all do, dude.
He came to me in my dream last Monday because it was weird. It was like officially a month without him. And
Was it really last Monday was?
Yep.
What? So it's been 5 weeks now?
Yep.
Wow.
Whoa. That's crazy.
Yep. Yeah. And he came to me in my dream for the first time. And it was so realistic. Like in my dream, he just like appeared. And I remember in my dream being like, holy shit, you're back. Like, I've missed you so much. And I remember like hugging him really tight, and I could like smell him in my dream, and like, oh, your scent is there, and like your little sound and the way you feel. And I was like looking at him.
Wow.
I was so happy in my dream. And I woke up and I was like, ugh.
Well, the fact
But
that
it was sweet to like visit. Like, that he visited me. Yeah.
But it felt so real like that. That's
so
really
real.
special.
So real.
I'm sure you'll have more like that too.
I miss his smell. He just smelled like Charlie.
Yeah.
His little nose.
Charlie scent.
And yeah, I'm gonna put like a little memorial in my backyard, probably like under one of the trees in my backyard, and like I want to plant some perennial like white flowers that come up every year. And then put some of his ashes in there, and then take the rest and keep them, because when I move, I want him to come with me. I mean, I have no plans to move, but inevitably one day I'm sure I'll move.
Yeah.
And I would like him to come with. And then I'm going to get a statue of him, put him out there. And one of our coworkers, Emily, sent me, which I don't have yet. It's still, I don't know if it's being delivered or what, but she made like a little custom sign on Etsy that says Charlie's Garden.
I love that. That is so cute.
Charlie's Garden.
So,
that's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, it's really rough. And it's weird. Grief is weird. Some days I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden it'll just hit me and like, I'll be really sad. And I'm always sad, but
it's just that roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes just out of nowhere.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, happy birthday, Charlie.
Happy birthday, my
Heartburning.
sweet son. I love you.
Do you want a little cake?
Yeah.
Do you have little
Charlie,
plates?
if you can hear Mommy, just know that I miss you. And I'll never forget about you.
Of course.
I talk
he
to him
knows
constantly.
that. He knows that.
I really hope he can hear me. So,
You know he can.
my best boyfriend in the world still.
The card says, happy birthday, Charlie. We miss you and love you so much. To our favorite baby bear, number one boy, don't tell Daddy. Love you.
Don't tell Daddy. He's my best boyfriend in the whole world. Don't tell Daddy. Daddy already knew. Yay, cake. What flavor do we have? Funfetti?
What'd you pick, Sydney?
I think it's a fun.
She's gone.
I think
Oh,
it's
yeah.
funfetti.
Okay,
think
this
it
is a
is.
funfetti cake.
Oh my god, yum. It's so cute. Look
I
at
love
its
the
little.
nothing but king.
They're
cake.
so good.
Oh, that's cute.
I know.
You'd put that on in your office.
That's adorable. Yeah, I need to save it.
adorable.
It's a little puff. Happy birthday, celebunting you. Oh my god, that's so cute. Thank you guys. It's very sweet.
Of course. We love Charlie.
I love him too. He's my boy.
And we love you most.
I love you guys. Yeah, I'm still getting DMs from people. Like, I'm just blown away at how sweet you people are. Someone made me a custom blanket, which made me weep.
Oh, that was so awesome.
Oh my god, her
Where
name
is that?
Amy. It's at my house. I brought it home because I was gonna leave it here, and I was like, no, I need it home. So I literally put it on my bed, and now I sleep with him every night. I say,
That's the best.
and the girls sleep on it too. And oh my god, it's just so many sweet messages, and I'm overwhelmed. Cake.
Yeah, you guys are the best. The Sesh audience is my favorite.
Yeah, 100%.
Little
cut it.
cake. What a treat.
Oh my god, this is so good.
Dude, holy shit.
Oh, Nothing Bun
So
Cakes just
moist.
slapped. Dude, sponsor us, Nothing Bun Cakes.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, want some? Charlie loved frosting.
We discovered it because remember my neighbors got me these?
Mm-hmm.
Remember Frank?
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Frank, shouts out. How do the cool kids do it these days? Frank
what'd you say?
Diazar, I
I
love
was going
you.
to say, wait, that Frank. I
Frank.
was like, wow, shout out to my old neighbor from 8 years ago.
My Frank. Which that was really funny watching you guys like comment. Some of you were totally like seemed to fall for it, and then some of you were like, I knew this was bullshit from the start.
No, so many people in our real lives were messaging me like, oh my god, what the fuck? Jade said something to me, my good friend Jade, this morning. She was like, what the fuck? You guys scared me so bad. She was like, fuck you for doing that. And I was like, that is all Janelle. It was Janelle's idea.
Our lash artist texted me.
Uh-huh.
My mother called me.
Did I tell you Steph messaged me too?
She did.
Yeah. Yeah. She was like, I hate you guys.
She said that to me. She goes, what is this crap? I told her.
I know. She told me that she doesn't watch the show because she gets FOMO and gets sad.
She's like, I
told her
can't
to
watch
come in
it.
and sit and listen in on a recording.
Yeah, she's like, I want to, but then I get upset that I can't interject.
I get that.
I'm like, yeah.
Probably hard when you know people in real life.
No, that's how I am. If I'm not in a recording and I watch it back, I'm like, oh, I want to say something.
I'm like that all the time whenever I miss Sesh recordings, especially.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that there are 30 biomarkers that can impact your skin beyond just your skincare? Because breakouts, dullness, dryness, and redness, they're beyond just surface issues. They're internal signals, and Function helps you see them more clearly. Function is the first health membership that gives you access to over 100 biomarkers across the whole body. That's including hormones, metabolism, inflammation, heart, liver, and more. Plus, you can add on MRIs and CT scans as well. These are medical-grade insights tracked over time, explained in plain language. I chose Function because it's the only health platform that gives you access to the kind of data most people never see and the insights to actually take action. Inside Function, you can test over 160 biomarkers from heart and hormones to toxins, inflammation, and stress. It's a near 360-degree view to see what's happening in your body. This morning, I actually just scheduled my blood tests. It's really convenient to do. You just do it online, and then you can find a lab that's close to you. And then you just schedule a time to pop in, and they take some blood, and then they send it off, and then you get your results. And I'm actually doing that a week from now, and so I'm very excited to see how that goes. And hopefully I can get some good insight on various aspects of my health that I wouldn't necessarily get from just a regular annual exam. I'm specifically interested to see how my hormones are affecting my skin, because even though I have been able to clear up my acne, I still have a lot of dryness and other things having to do with my skin that I feel like no matter what product I use, it still persists. And Function helps you stop blaming the products and start understanding the patterns, because your skin is a mirror and Function gives you the data to read it. These types of tests can be thousands of dollars at a regular doctor's office, but Function is offering 160 plus lab tests for $365 to anyone who signs up between July 7th and July 11th. To learn more and get started, visit www.functionhealth.com/sesh.
All right. So like we said, we have so much to get into here. So let's dive in. And I guess we should just say trigger warning before we start. It is this gets it really intense. Yep. Okay. It goes much further than just the typical child exploitation we see on YouTube, where it's just, they're being filmed without their consent and not being paid and working crazy hours and all that. That's all part of it as well. But it also, we are going to be talking about sexual misconduct and very, very inappropriate behavior that may be triggering to some. So keep that in mind as we go here, and maybe we'll, when we get closer to those parts, we'll kind of give you another heads up.
Yeah. Like Kendall said, the docuseries is called Bad Influence, The Dark Side of Kidfluencing.
It's on Netflix if you want to check it out for yourself. There's 3 parts.
Yeah. And it premiered last April. So April, May, June, July, like 4 months ago. And I'm surprised no one's really talking about it. But I thought it was very well done. Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting. Highly recommend watching it if you have Netflix. It really revolves around Piper, Rockelle, and the squad is what they call it. Because they've got the Hype House. They've got Team 10. Remember Team 10?
God, yeah. Really showing our ages here. We're like talking about all the old ones. Because now it's like, there's like the MILF Manor,
the MILF House,
the Bop House. Is the MILF Manor even one, or is that a TV show?
That's a TV show.
Okay, well, wasn't there a MILF? We talked about like a MILF House.
Yeah, the MILF House.
That was just called the Milk.
I think
Milk House.
The Milk House.
There's probably a Milk House as well.
Okay.
No, I don't know, but yeah. So it focuses specifically around Piper and then her mom Tiffany, as well as some of the other creators. Are interviewed as well, and their parents are in it. And it's crazy.
And I got a lot to say about these parents. Like, I have some sympathy, some sympathy for them, but I don't know. A lot of them I really question, and they piss me off, and I don't know. I have so much to say.
Agreed.
And then when it comes to her mom, Tiffany, this woman is, just a monster, a menace to society. And I just feel so bad that Piper is still stuck with her. God, she reminds me of, you remember how I was bullied by someone's mom?
Yes.
And she was same cloth.
Really?
Yes. Like
Ew.
this, there was parts of this where I was like, I felt a little, like it was bringing back some of how I felt like being bullied by a mother.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In high school. Yeah.
Jeez. Tiffany certainly was that. Bullying the other kids.
Yep.
Which was, putting it lightly, actually harassing them.
Yes.
Harassing the parents.
Mm-hmm.
And what's crazy is like she's just gotten away with it.
Yep.
There's been no consequences
to
all of this. But yeah, she's like the momager Okay, the like extreme version of a momager, if you will, really ran the whole show, ran the whole squad.
I'd say she's like, no, I don't even know if I'd put her in like momager because she's like the director. She's like, what's the guy's name? She's like Schneider.
Dan Schneider?
Yeah, she's like a Dan Schneider.
Honestly, yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
You know, directing all these kids and stuff.
Yes,
and
that just happens to be the
earns their
Piper's
trust with them,
mom.
seems the cool one, and then starts turning on them.
Yes,
and,
that's such a good point.
Yeah, Dan Schneider of YouTube is this woman.
I don't know if you guys already said this, but her, Piper and her mom did not participate in this.
Yeah,
Of course they didn't.
They were reached out to,
and they said, hell
Tiffany
nah.
specifically.
Which, well, I'm sure, I wish Piper probably does not have a say in
I was
whether
going
or
to
not
say
she
she's
wants
not
to.
18, so I don't really know how that works. But yeah, Piper had nothing, or Tiffany had nothing to say on the matter. Shocking.
So, guys, just imagine when you were a youngin', and maybe some of you out there are. I mean, I know we have some younger fans, but imagine being a kid, being under 18 and already having millions of fans, billions of views, and making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, and all before hitting high school, okay? And just to a lot of kids, that would sound like a dream. You know, it was all of our dreams. We've all talked about how we wanted to be on the Disney Channel. What kid didn't want to be a
child
star?
And like now, I feel like when you ask a lot of kids in like middle school and high school, especially middle school, a lot of their dreams is to be a YouTuber.
Yep.
Because I mean, because influencers like this, especially younger ones, sell it out to be, you know, this miraculous thing that you're going to get all these fans and all this money. And sure, yes, but that comes with such a huge consequences and, you know, you're giving up your entire, you're giving up your innocence, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
Like any sense of innocence, you know, it gets stripped away from you. And that's so unfair. And that's so, it's
no
so
privacy,
sad to see. No
judgment from the internet. And yeah, like once you're in it, you're stuck in this machine that it has to keep going, and you have to upload as much content as possible and constantly up the ante. And now I'm wondering how many of you have heard of Piper Rockelle. I'm probably living under a rock that I didn't know who she was. I had no idea about any of this.
Well,
or the
also,
squad, which is her crew of influencer friends.
I guess, but I'm not that surprised because we're way older. We're not in her demographic whatsoever.
True.
So why would
but we cover a lot of stuff about and this seems like the worst case of it. I just couldn't believe we had never heard of it. But yeah, it all started as sort of the dream for these kids. But of course, behind the scenes, things are not the way that they are portrayed online, which is, you know, really always the case, I feel. Or most of the time. We're the real ones, you know. What you see is what you get with us.
For the most part, yes. Pretty much.
And I sometimes we show them too much.
Sometimes I'm like, wow, maybe I should just shut the hell up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, good point.
So yeah, the doc really pulls back the curtain on Piper's mom, Tiffany Smith, who went from being a small-town dog groomer to a full-blown self-appointed momager who was running the show behind the scenes, managing the content, controlling the relationships between the kids.
This is seriously crazy.
On
oh my
camera
God.
and off.
There's so much to talk about.
And she crossed some serious ethical and legal boundaries here.
Allegedly.
And in this documentary, allegedly, former squad members and parents speak out in the documentary. They share these personal stories of uncomfortable situations, and they are very uncomfortable even to listen to, let alone to talk about. I mean, they were working long hours, like 12-hour days, sometimes longer.
Sometimes, a lot of times longer.
Yeah. Emotional.
No breaks.
Yeah. So much pressure on them and a lot of predatory behavior. And like we said, things that cross the line to just, abuse. There's no other way to put it. And these kids were often too scared to speak up. I think mainly they didn't want to face the backlash from Piper's mom. I think Tiffany started to scare them all, but also they were worried about their own parents and wanting to keep up what they were doing because they were financially supporting their parents too, or financially supporting themselves, or they had their careers in mind and didn't want to lose all of that, which is something we've talked about with so many situations, especially even kid stars, the whole Nickelodeon thing, quiet on set. Yeah, there were so many of those kids who were afraid to speak out because they're like, well, that'll be the end of my career.
Yep. And the
I don't
public
tell my
backlash.
parents. Yep.
Then all of your fans and everyone online is speculating on what happened, and you're disappointing them. So you're truly stuck.
Yep.
And yeah, there's no easy way out.
So journalist Taylor Lorenz and content strategist Brandon Stewart play key roles in this documentary of telling the story of Piper Rockelle and her rise on YouTube. Now, Taylor is known for covering internet culture, which helps, explain the bigger picture here, how kids like Piper end up becoming so famous online and what that means in a world where social media isn't really built for children.
Yeah.
And Brandon Stewart shares that he was around the squad in its early days and actually worked with an unnamed child in the group in his early career. So they had firsthand experience. And he really gives a behind-the-scenes look at what this world was like and raises questions about how young influencers are treated. And they really show both the good and bad sides of Piper's story and why growing up online can be just so risky for kids and extremely detrimental and damaging. They also highlight how traditional child labor laws like the Coogan Law,
which we've
obviously
talked about many times here,
doesn't apply to kid influencers, leaving them financially and legally vulnerable. And yeah, it's like, how do you even fix this problem? It's good that there are things that are starting to happen, but it's such a massive issue that several people in the documentary were like, I don't know if there is a solution for this at all.
What makes it so hard, I think, is the fact that there's no office you go to create the content. There's no set you're going to create. Your whole life is the set. So at any point in time,
any part in your house,
right? You just hit record button and you're creating content. So how are you actually supposed to be held accountable for how much labor you're making your children do? Because unless you're logging every second of when you're recording, but how that would never happen. How would you do that?
No, there. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how you regulate it other than just making it illegal to put kids on the internet, on monetized content. I think that's the only solution. Right. Will that ever happen? Probably not.
It's not that black and white though, because I don't think that's even the right thing necessarily. Because
then it's should children not be allowed to act in movies? Should they not be allowed to be in commercials?
Right.
And it's an extremely dicey world that doesn't really seem like there's an easy way to fix this problem.
No.
So let's explain more about Piper for those of you who have not heard of her. So she is a key figure in this series, obviously. Like we said, she didn't participate in the series herself, but her story is told through the endless amount of archived footage, a lot of it that's still up on YouTube.
She still creates content.
She does. Janelle was showing it to me this morning.
It's so uncomfortable.
Really disturbing.
So uncomfortable.
She's promoting.
I'm not, putting shame on her. She doesn't know any different.
But just as an adult, watching that is so
letting your child do it.
Yeah,
it's very, very sexual. She's also selling. She gets sponsored by this calorie app that takes pictures of food and tells you how many calories. And she's under 17, promoting to another young audience. I saw one where she's holding up 2 Starbucks and she's like, one has 350 calories, one has 100. And she takes pictures of them and is so I want the 100 one. It's just oh my God. And she's also works with some type of AI app. The brand deals that she gets are very sketchy because I'm sure a lot of established brands aren't going to want to work with a Piper Rockelle for the most part. I think it's brands have kind of gotten smart about who you want to associate with and do you want to be part of this child's exploitation, paying them to do it, so it's unlikely that she's going to get so now it's calorie apps and AI apps and I'm sure they pay her big for that. And then Tiffany Smith, she's the mom. We have a lot to say on her. Hunter Hill, it's Piper's fake brother.
This whole thing is so fucking weird. Who is also Tiffany's boyfriend.
Yeah.
So weird.
Okay, so make sense.
And a lot of them saw him as a support,
yes,
until they realized that he was in on it. This guy's a fuck.
Yeah.
And then there's Sophie Ferguson. Oh, I love Sophie.
She's so cute.
This story broke my heart. Oh my God,
it's horrific.
I'm already starting to cry. She goes by Fergi. She seems like such a sweet girl. She's definitely the most vocal ex-squad member in the documentary. And then Heather Nicole, she's Sophie's mother. She's featured in the docuseries. In my opinion, she's maybe one of the least problematic of the parents that are in this.
I'm not thrilled with any of the parents.
No.
Because a lot of them basically admitted that once they started seeing what was going on, they didn't leave, which I'm what the fuck?
Because the checks were coming in, dude.
Yeah.
It was like when the money was being affected is when they started having a problem with it. We'll get more into that.
Yeah.
Then there's Sawyer Sharbino. He just seems like a really sweet kid. I feel bad for him too. I feel about every kid in this.
Yeah, it's horrific.
Raegan Beast also seems like a wonderful human. Angelina Sharbino is Sawyer's mother. Corinne Joy, she's a former member of the squad as well. She seems really sweet. Stevie Arico, she's Corinne's mother. She's featured in the docuseries. Not that much though. Claire Rock Smith. Now, this whole connection's strange. She's Piper's step cousin, which makes this even worse, especially when you hear how things played out with her. She's a former member of the squad. And then Reese Rocksmith, who is also Piper's step cousin. Ashley Rocksmith, she is Claire and Reese's mother. Patience Rocksmith, they are
Tiffany's
the mothers
sister.
of. Patience is Tiffany's sister. And
then Patience is married to Ashley. And
Reese and
Claire
are their daughters.
Yeah. Then there's also Gavin Magnus, who is another former member. Now, he was mentioned in this series but didn't participate in it. And then there's Jenzten Ramirez, who is another former member, did not participate. Now, he did end up releasing his own YouTube video after the series was already out, which we'll talk about it a little bit. It's interesting because he gives kind of his personal thoughts on the series. He talked about his mom, who's named Jonna. Now, she was in the documentary. And so, he kind of gives his thoughts separately afterwards, which we'll touch on later. Then there's also Walker Bryant, which I know there's like a shit ton of names in here. And you don't have to like memorize it all. Just to kind of give you a heads up. Another person that was mentioned in the series but didn't participate. Then there's Jen Bryant, who's Walker's mom, and she is featured in the doc. There's Taylor Lorenz, who's featured in the series, and like we said, she breaks down a lot of how the kids, first started making content online and why it's become so dangerous, and explains like the rise of these kid influencers, how it just really took off and kind of like overnight just became a whole world in of itself without really any like rules and regulations. And then there's Brandon Stewart, like we just talked about, who's the content strategist and CEO of Brandon Studios. And he talks a lot about like the risks and dangers of child influencing. So those are the people that are in the documentary or mentioned. And obviously there's more kids shown throughout the series, but it's from the thousands of hours of footage that they have. Remember that doctor's appointment you were supposed to make months ago and still have been putting off? That annual exam that was due 3 years ago, and here you are today, still waiting to make that appointment? Well, now is your time to do it. And do it with ZocDoc because it makes it easy and convenient to get an appointment on a schedule that works for you. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. With ZocDoc, you can book in-network appointments with more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty from mental health to dental health, primary care to urgent care, and more. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, are located nearby, are a good fit for any medical need you may have, and are highly rated by verified patients. And one thing that's really nice is that you can filter it based on your specific preferences. So let's say you're looking for a female doctor or someone who speaks a specific language or has availability that fits your work schedule. Or if you're needing someone that has an opening the same day or the next day, you can do it through ZocDoc. Because appointments made through ZocDoc also happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. I'm just about out of contacts and need to get a new prescription, so I am about to hop on ZocDoc, book myself an appointment with an eye doctor, and re-up my prescription. And I have truly used ZocDoc so many times. I found a PCP through ZocDoc. Can't recommend them enough. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/sesh to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/sesh, ZocDoc.com/sesh.
But let's start by explaining more about Piper, okay? So she is really the face of it all. And she started posting on YouTube when she was just 9 years old. Just pretty mind-blowing to think about. And of course, her mom was the one actually posting the videos, and she quickly blew up, of course, with the classic prank video and the challenges. They were so big, right?
Yep.
And the flirty crush content.
This is so weird, you guys, and we'll get more into it later, but
this was new to me.
This was new to me too.
Bizarre.
I was like, what?
And the shipping and all that, it's extremely strange.
Yep.
But by 15 years old, Piper was a multimillionaire, or Piper's mom, I guess you would say. Was she? I don't know. So Tiffany had Piper when she was 26 years old, and her dad did leave when she was pregnant.
Yeah, he's not in the picture.
Nope. And when Piper was little, she was always dancing and singing, just very happy and bubbly kid. And by the time she was 3, Tiffany had her signed up for beauty pageants because, of course, she fucking did. And I guess Piper was thriving in it. She loved it. And I'm sure a lot of kids, like, at the time, love it. It's like you look back and how it affects you most people when they get older.
Yeah. I also think there's, like, the extreme of it. What was that? Toddlers and Tiaras?
Right.
That show versus, like, I don't think every kid who's in a pageant is getting fake teeth, fake nails, fake hair, fake whatever. But a lot of them do.
I don't know, man. I think of subjecting your kid to a beauty pageant to anything where they're being judged on their
what about like
looks
modeling
and talent.
though?
I don't know. The whole world to me is just I don't think it's for kids.
But like kid models.
That's what it bothers me. Would I choose it for my kid? Absolutely not.
But like, how do you know, if you walk into a Target at the kids section, there's kid models.
Yeah, of course there are. Do I think it's right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Just to me, it's like robbing them of their childhood when they're already focused on looks at a young age and being photographed. And I don't know. There's something about it that to me like rips a childhood away. But maybe they do like it. And maybe if it's just like a here and there thing and it's not like becoming their entire lifestyle where they're basically not having a childhood because they're so career focused as a kid, that's where like I have a problem with it. I don't know. But maybe it's fun for them, and if it's like a one-off thing. It's just like when it's their whole life that I don't know.
Yeah.
It's such a tough topic. I'm sure people have varying opinions on it.
Well, supposedly Piper loved it. The whole shebang, the bikinis, the spray tans, the big hair, and of course the trophies, which I'm sure Tiffany loved as well.
So she was getting a spray tan at age 3?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of them do. No, but I don't think I think that's kind of like the extreme sense of it. I don't know. I don't really know much about pageants, but I could assume that some kids are into pageants that are more mellow and like are not doing all that.
Like they wear like flippers and stuff, like the fake teeth.
The kids on Toddlers and Tiaras or Tiaras, whatever, looked like they were fucking like 18 after they were all done up. They were like 4.
But I just like, even if you're not doing all of that and there's like if there's a world of less extreme pageants for children, you're still at the end of the day a group of adults is judging a child on the stage. That cannot be good for your self-esteem.
Totally agree with that.
Just think that's like setting you up for major issues later in your life.
I think it's always so creepy when like the judge or like the announcer is like an older man or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
why are you in that line of work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if my kid had like somehow found out about pageants and was like, please mommy, I'd be like, fuck no, you're not doing that.
We can do
old
we have
man
pageants at home.
You.
Totally.
Yeah, we can have our own little shows at home.
Yeah.
Well, she won her first pageant at age 3. Okay, and Tiffany was like, oh hell yeah, let's fucking go.
She's like, we got talent.
She was like, we got talent.
Like a prize? Do we know if she got like money for that or
probably?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, at least at very least a trophy and bragging rights, which is also what Tiffany got. And yeah, I think that's what really set off was like, oh, my kid could be a big star, and I think this just made her hungry for more. And yeah, how can she continue on doing this? Maybe we use social media.
And back then it was Musical.ly,
which I never was on.
Dude, I was because I got sponsored by Musical.ly around this time. Yes, so early on. Yeah, and I like did an ass job with it too because they were like, because it was just like it was such a new concept back then. It was like you post short videos or like
with
picture slideshows with a song.
Like a lip sync kind of thing.
So I was sponsored by them on a YouTube video. So I remember it was something I had to like make I think I like made a little slideshow of Josh and I like at the beach and put like a song to it.
Oh, that's funny.
But I never used it again. But that, I didn't know that is what TikTok eventually turned into. Yeah. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Musical.ly turned into TikTok.
That, yeah, because it launched in 2014.
Mm-hmm. But it was like the lip syncing and everything, but back before.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like the original TikTok.
Yep. And here's what's crazy is you technically had to be 13 to sign up, which still is way too young.
How were they able to do that?
Are you allowed to do that? But obviously they were like, you can lie about your age on those apps.
Yeah,
I did it. Who didn't do it?
No, I did. To get a MySpace and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, I mean, they were fucking like 6, 7, 8-year-olds on there.
Yep.
And Piper was on there and she got really, really big on it. Okay. And I think this is what really started her career, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
On social media, at least.
She was crowned on Musically, which that's like a big deal.
It's like the verification badge.
Right.
Yeah. She was like a big star on there.
Yep. And then in 2017, her and her mom were cast on the show Dance Twins. Okay. Now, Tiffany was also featured on the show, and this is really where her intense controlling side started to show. She was constantly pushing Piper to do better. You have to win. We want winners here. In one of the clips, she says to Piper, quote, "This is like a really good time for you to get first place."
Damn.
Hey, by the way, if you could just get first place, that'd be great.
Oh, God.
And I can't imagine the amount of stress and pressure that would put on your kid if you were like, hey, you need to win.
And that goes for everything with children, just even soccer and basketball,
swimming,
any type of sport,
dance,
there's
whatever.
Always those parents you would see that were up their kid's ass on the team. And I was always so grateful as a kid that my parents were like, do your best, honey. It's
exactly.
All, it's just there to have fun.
Right.
And it's just, you could always tell the kids that came with that pressure, and it just ruins it for them. Just let your kid be a kid and have fun.
Yeah, and I feel 100%. A lot of the time it seems like it's the parents who are trying to live vicariously through their children.
Yep,
totally.
It's their second chance.
Piper wanted to make her mom proud and had this drive to be the best performer in the South. And Tiffany was so focused on Piper's fame that she didn't even have her in school at just 8 years old. Great.
At
perfect.
8. It's abuse. Because she wasn't getting any education outside of it either. It's not like she was committed to homeschooling and really doing it.
And even then, your top priority should not be making your kid famous. It should be getting them an education and helping them develop as a child.
Yeah.
Not becoming famous. And then in 2017, that same year, they were introduced to Corinne, who later became one of the original squad members. And her mom, Stevie, explains that Corinne was invited to audition as a backup dancer for Piper. And at the time, Corinne had no idea who Piper even was, but her friend told her, Piper had been crowned on Musically, like we said, was basically being verified, which was a huge deal back then. So for Corinne, she was like, hell yeah, I love dancing, singing. This sounds like a great opportunity to be able to, essentially work alongside someone who already has a career in this field.
Was that Corinne's thought process, or was that her mom's thought process?
Yeah.
True.
I think it's her mom's.
Because, as a kid, your priority is to have fun and, make friends.
Although, when you're a kid, she probably didn't realize, what that really meant.
Right,
and I could totally see if I was her age and I had a chance to, hang out with some, quote-unquote famous person my age, I'd be like, fuck yeah, I want to dance with them.
If someone told me, here's the way to fast-track your life to be Lizzie McGuire, I'd be like, fuck yeah.
Exactly.
Of course you want that, because you don't understand what comes with that.
Right.
But the parents do. They should understand what fame comes with.
There's really no excuse nowadays, and that's why I think these parents in this documentary pissed me off so much, is they acted we didn't know.
No,
I've never heard of it. Shut up. You know, we have seen the examples of child stars over the years whose lives have been derailed, who have spoken out about the abuse that they went through, the suffering, the pressure, and how it destroyed them. Don't act like you don't fucking know that this is what happens when you put your kid out there just so that you can benefit from it financially.
I'm thinking
fuck you.
Back with Kylie Jenner was one of the first, quote unquote, kind of kid influencers. The people would tear her the fuck apart. So much so that she obviously changed her appearance when she was so young. So that in itself is an example of what fame can do to you.
Point in time, we'd already seen what had happened to Lindsay Lohan and the Olsen twins or Amanda Bynes. We've had these examples of how much damage it can do, and they're like, okay, well, let's go for it. Hopefully that doesn't happen. The money's coming in.
Yeah. Well, Corinne's mom especially, I feel really tried to play the ditzy part of had no idea that this even was affiliated with making money.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that pissed me off.
So right now she thinks, we're just going to a dance tryout and whatever. This is what she's claiming.
Which
right?
I'm if that's true, which I don't necessarily believe, but even if it is, okay, fine. Until you realize shortly down the road that
it shouldn't take long.
This is more than just a fun little thing for my kid to do. This is very toxic and potentially extremely traumatic and dangerous. I should pull them out.
Yeah, especially, and it's like, oh, they've wanted to be famous forever.
Of course they
do.
Of course
their children.
What kid doesn't?
Yeah,
That's literally what kid doesn't.
Holly, if she had ever said it to me, I'd be like, oh, that's great. You have dreams. Like, you can do like a little acting class if you want. And then maybe you have enough skills by the time you get to a age
Decent
to be able
age.
to do it.
Yeah.
But you're not just being like, oh, my like 7-year-old has these dreams, so I'm going to expose them to this when they have no idea what the fuck they're getting themselves into. It's your job as the parent to call the shots and to make sure that you're the one person that's supposed to protect them in the world.
Yeah.
And these parents all failed at that. And they tried so hard in this documentary to be like, we didn't know. And like, yes, I felt bad for some of them. I feel like some of them were worse than others. It depended on the situation.
Yeah.
But just trying to act like we were just stuck in this and we had no idea.
Yeah.
And like, it just,
we couldn't get out.
And they were like, if I was watching this, I would judge myself. But like, you don't understand. We couldn't leave. I'm like, no.
This isn't acting, really. Like, crush content. Your kids are being, like, that's not, your kids are basically being forced to do things on camera.
They're being sexualized as children.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, we need to get into the
fucking
crush content soon.
Oh my God, it's so insane.
Yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
But like,
it's just infuriating.
Essentially, Corinne and Piper became really, really close. They would spend a ton of time together. They'd sleepovers. They'd make videos that Tiffany would upload to YouTube. And at first, Corinne's mom, like we said, thought it was harmless. Just two kids having fun with the camera, right?
That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. You knew at this point.
I know.
Like, when I was a kid, me and my friends loved to make, like, me and you made videos all the time, like music videos and stuff. They weren't going on the internet.
Right.
And like, even if they were, our parents probably, like, maybe back then they would have not understood. But I feel like even my parents would have been like, you're not fucking uploading this to strangers on the internet.
Yeah.
Like,
I would
even
like
they
to
would have
think
had
my parents would be like,
yeah.
To strangers?
Right.
No, you can fucking watch it over in the basement after you know.
Which, like, I feel like as kids, like, we didn't even think about putting it online because we weren't really watching kids on
and
YouTube.
That wasn't really a thing. YouTube wasn't even
we weren't
a thing.
worried about other people seeing it. It was just the fun of making it.
Right.
Yeah, that annoyed me too. The way that they were just like, oh, they were just making like they're just kids making videos. I thought it was all good fun.
Yeah, then
like,
don't upload it.
You knew it was being uploaded to the internet though.
And at this point in 2017,
don't act like you don't know what
the internet was on full. The age of influencing is fully bloomed by then. Okay,
come on. And so you, not only that, but you also know who's lurking around on the internet that you're letting your young child and you didn't take the time to go and look at this content, or even worse, you did, and you're like, it's fine.
Or see, look at the comments. Like, literally, look at the comments of like what, of these grown ass men, making these disgusting predatory comments about a 8-year-old's body.
Any good parent would see any of that, would take the time to look at it, and then as soon as you see it, you pull your kid out. This is fucking over. You're not hanging out with this other girl and her mom anymore.
It makes me so mad. Like, the trauma that internet can give to a child, and like, this is me speaking as someone who was like very, very exposed to the internet at a very young age, and the things that I wish I could take back from like being on the internet. And I wasn't famous. Like, this is just like from my own like being groomed and being like exploiting myself. Really, like, my parents didn't know. It's just so frustrating seeing all these parents pointing at each other and being like, literally like Spider-Man, like, oh, it was you. You know what I mean? Like, it's so infuriating. Like, you are supposed to protect your child. That is the one thing that's your job. That is your job, to protect your child. It makes
ruining their life. You're creating damage that is irreversible, and that will take years of therapy and work on their part to hopefully overcome. Like, the amount of trauma that poor Piper has been exposed to and has gone through, and it's still. I mean, I don't know what her life is like behind closed doors, but I can't imagine that she's in a great, in a healthy spot mentally.
No,
and
very clearly not. And the documentary really highlights that.
It's so fucking sad, truly. No. And the parents are like, oh well.
At least we're making money.
So one of the early videos of the girls at a pumpkin patch completely blew up, got millions of views, and they just kept making more and more content. And then later that year, Piper and Tiffany packed up their things, cats included, which we'll get into that, and moved to LA.
Small zoo.
No, literally.
I have a small zoo too, but
no, this is like hoarding problem.
Level.
This is like they need to get someone in here to save these poor fucking cats, in my opinion. So while in LA, Piper and Tiffany attended a convention where they met Hunter Hill, a 20-year-old, aspiring content creator from Wyoming. And Tiffany brought Hunter in to act like Piper's brother in her videos. and Tiffany's boyfriend. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
Which that I don't think they shared in the videos that he was her boyfriend. That was like a behind the scenes thing, right?
Yeah, not like there wasn't a lot of footage of them.
Yeah,
interacting.
She was smart enough to like hide that element. But yeah, he was her boyfriend.
Yeah,
he was living with them.
But like, just a fun big brother, which by the way is not her brother, is a 20-year-old man living in the house with a small child and her mother, fucking
sleeping in her mom's room
with a video camera.
With video cameras.
And he's involved with all these other kids too. I mean, he's filming them. He's the primary editor. Yeah. He managed all of the technical aspects of Piper's YouTube channel. Like he was like highly involved in all of it. And he claimed to have mastered the platform's algorithm, optimizing video titles, thumbnails, and hashtags to maximize views and ad revenue. He said he learned the sauce. And let me tell you, the sauce is disgusting. Okay, the recipe that he figured out, it was working. But when you hear how they were doing this and what they figured out worked,
sick
and that other parents were like, yep, let's go ahead and do it. Yep. Sounds good to me. It seems so cute and innocent.
Yep.
Things the parents from this were saying, pissing me off so much. If you have a vagina, you know the struggle that sometimes comes with having a vagina. Sometimes it can get a little funky down there. I know everyone's experienced it. Just admit it. You know, everyone has been there. I have certainly been there. And that's why I am loving O positive products right now, you guys. I actually truly, truly love them. I have been using them now a couple of months and I have noticed such a big difference. If you've never heard of O positive, it's a women's health company and they offer a range of symptom targeting supplements that support women at every stage of life, all the way from your first period to well beyond your last. They are rightfully proud to have best-selling women's products at Target and on Amazon. Urovaginal Probiotics is one of the top 5 supplements on Amazon, actually, and they have multiple #1 products in Target for intimate care, PMS, and menopause categories. So what's so special about O-positive products? Well, they create real, tangible results with ingredients that are backed by clinical studies and shaped by board-certified doctors. And O-positive is committed to breaking down those stigmas and addressing issues many women experience: hormone health, vaginal health, menopause, and so much more. Now, I specifically use the Urovaginal Probiotic, and Uro is a probiotic blend specifically formulated to support vaginal health, balance a healthy vaginal pH, support healthy vaginal smell, maintain healthy vaginal flora. And listen, many factors affect those things. Everything from sex to tight clothing, sweat from working out, hormones, period, etc. It can all disrupt vaginal health and lead to an imbalance in vaginal flora and pH, causing unhealthy vaginal odor and taste, abnormal discharge, and discomfort. So Urovaginal Probiotic is a blend of 4 powerful strains of lactobacillus, backed by research showing these strains support healthy vaginal odor, vaginal pH, and flora. And in addition, Uro contains prebiotics that increase effectiveness of the probiotics. And when you take them daily, just 2 capsules a day, Uro delivers noticeable benefits within just 8 weeks. And many actually see results sooner. I'd say I saw them in about 4 weeks. And many customers talk about the improvement in vaginal health and how that led to greater confidence as well as better sex and intimacy. So take proactive care of your health and head to opositive.com/sesh or enter code SESH at checkout for 25% off your first purchase. That's opositiv.com/sesh for 25% off. As Piper's channel grew, she landed a spot on the Brat TV series, which is called Manny. Did they take that from is it about a male nanny?
Yeah.
Okay, so they straight up ripped that from The Last of Us. Or no, not The Last of Us. What's that show called? We used to like it a long time ago. The one where the dad, or I shouldn't spoil it for people who haven't seen it.
This Is Us?
This Is Us. This Is Us. In that show, the brother he was an actor and he was cast in a show called The Manny.
Oh.
And I think they took that whole concept from, because that was before this. So I think they took that concept from that show. But it was, I guess, referred to as the Disney Channel for the internet, this Manny show. And in the show, Piper acts as Sky, the preppy, wealthy girl. And then on set, Piper meets Sophie. She played Zarya, the gothic emo character. The classic, the preppy, wealthy girl meets the gothic emo.
Of course.
And the two of them become friends during filming, and Sophie became one of the original members of the squad. Now, Sophie's mom, Heather Nicole, is another one of the parents featured in the docuseries. And like I said, I think she gets the most slack in my eyes. It seems like she was like the first one to really like blow the whistle. And yes, she certainly has some faults and mistakes here along the way, but she seems to have the most emotion behind it all. Like, I felt like a lot of the parents, it was very, I don't know, just surfacey.
Agreed.
And it was like, we're the victims. This was almost a chance, this documentary, for them to like have a moment.
I feel like they wanted to wash their hands clean.
Yeah,
totally.
Yes. And she was very like, own up to like, we put them in danger. Yeah. We fucked up, and then we left Piper there with this monster. And she, like, you can tell she cares so much about Piper, the way that she was crying.
Yeah.
So like, I had the most sympathy for her. But yeah, she said that when Sophie first joined the show, Manny, she didn't even have an Instagram account. Like, she was totally
offline.
Yeah. But apparently there was pressure that if Sophie was going to be on the Brat series, she had to have one.
So Sophie started off on Manny as a background character, but then the producers liked her so much that she ended up becoming a main cast member. And she said that her mom met Piper and Tiffany on set, and that's when the two started to become friends. And she shared that at one point, Tiffany and Piper asked if she wanted to be in one of Piper's YouTube videos. And it was, you know, her first experience really getting to know them. And so she was like, sure. And Sophie would be invited to sleepovers at Piper's and Tiffany's house. And Tiffany would always have them filming videos. This bitch was making them film 24/7, essentially.
Yeah, it's absurd.
And yeah, Sophie's mom said something similar to Corinne's mom. She didn't really know much about YouTube and thought the girls were just having fun making silly videos, which I'm like, even if you don't know much about YouTube, like, literally just take a look at it for 5 seconds.
I know,
because at this point,
girl, come on.
This isn't like, oh, YouTube's a new thing. No, it's been around forever. During this time, there's a zillion creators. There's people with full fucking careers on it.
2008.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It's been known. Okay.
Or like, go on her, be like, you want to be on what? Go on the channel, read a couple of comments. Be like, just wow.
Like, do some research on YouTube as a platform. Like, there's just no excuse at that point.
Yeah. And on set, Piper and Sophie became very, very close. Piper even said in a 2019 YSB Now podcast that Sophie was her first real best friend and that she had never had someone like that before.
That's so sad.
God, look at this picture of them. They're so young.
And the chemistry showed, like, the videos did so well of them together. Like, they were just blowing up, the, you know, two besties, which is such relatable content for all the young, especially like females out there that age of like, oh my God, I have a bestie too. And like, how fun would it be to have a YouTube channel like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, she had 1.69 million subs. She's so young.
That's just like an insane, like at that age, you can't even really like conceptualize what that number means. How much that really is. Right. Like I struggle to picture it today.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have, you know, over 3 million subscribers, and to like, I can't like conceptualize what that really looks like or means or
no.
And at their age, I mean, you just have no concept of that.
No. Sophie shared that early on, she could tell that something was very off with Tiffany. And she said that there was just like this really uncomfortable, weird feeling around her. Like something was not stable, which clearly is true.
Yeah.
And the gut instinct started to prove true during the filming of the new season of Manny, the camp season. Okay. So according to the docuseries, Tiffany absolutely lost it on set when she realized that Piper was no longer the main character and someone else was getting more lines. And Tiffany totally lost it. According to the doc, she told the producer, quote, "You're not cutting my daughter. She's the one who made this show what it is." And then she turned to Sophie and said, "We're leaving, Sophie. You're coming too." But Sophie was like, no, I'm not fucking leaving. She was just starting to make a name for herself and she didn't want to walk away from it all. So she stayed, and Tiffany absolutely lost her shit, became furious, and then essentially just cut Sophie and her mom out.
Like not
because of it.
The series or just like out of their lives.
Yeah.
Which was obviously horrible for Sophie and for Piper, their best friends.
Yep.
And good for Sophie at that age to be like, no, fuck you. I'm going to stay professional. I'm trying to build a career here, and I'm not going to leave. So she stayed. That was the end.
Yep.
The way that all this shook out is just so fucked up. Because at this point, Piper and Tiffany were still living in LA, but they would occasionally go back to Georgia to visit family. And during one of those visits, Tiffany reconnected with her sister, Patience. And Patience is married to Ashley. They have 2 daughters. We explained this, Claire and Reese, and that both girls were already fans of Piper and had no idea that she was their step cousin, right?
So weird.
So Piper and Claire, the older sister, they hit it off right away. Claire said that she was always obsessed with the camera, whether she was behind it or in front of it, and Piper seemed really into it too, and Claire ended up appearing in a few of her videos. And then Reese, the younger sister, really looked up to Piper, and the 3 girls started building this, real friendship and relationship. And Patience's wife, Ashley, said that it actually felt like a way for Tiffany and Patience to reconnect too. She explained that while they were super close growing up, things fell apart after their parents' divorce. So she started to notice these major changes in Tiffany, though, at this point in time. She became emotionally and physically abusive, and that ultimately pushed Patience to cut ties with her. And it was actually Patience's wife who encouraged her to try reconnecting. She saw the girls bonding and thought maybe this could be a bridge for them as well, for the sisters.
Yep. So fast forward to 2018, Sawyer came into the picture. And he was just a kid making gaming videos on YouTube. He started his own channel around 9 years old and built up a pretty good following, just on his own. And
it's so insane to me.
Yeah.
I can't imagine if my 9-year-old was building a following on the internet. There's just no way I would ever allow. I don't care how much they love it. You can make videos for funsies and have them on private or send them to friends and family, but no, you're not going to post them to strangers online. Why would any parent let their kid do this? At 9.
I know.
And Sawyer, I love this kid. I love all the kids in this. They seem so sweet.
Mm-hmm. They're fucking kids. But yeah, Tiffany was like, ooh, I see you. Mm-hmm. You are getting a lot of followers, making some cool content.
Let me recruit. We need a boy in the squad.
So she went through Piper's account and hit him up. Yep. Was like, yo, want to collab?
Yeah. And that's so creepy through her
So
creepy. She's such a fucking freak. I hate Tiffany so much.
Yeah, I know. And once he officially joined the squad, he was told that he had to hand over his YouTube login to Hunter, which is he just built all this by himself.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, no, give it to us.
But the idea was Hunter knows the ins and outs. He's the CEO king, so he'll help manage your channel and make sure that it gets, as many views as possible.
SEO.
I was going to say, he's the CEO king.
Oh, sorry. An idiot. SEO.
Kind of was the CEO a little bit.
But yeah.
Well, I guess that would be
Tiffany. Yeah, he was the SEO king.
Search engine optimization, if you don't know.
Basically, how to get your content in front of as many eyes as possible. And this applies to anything that's on the internet.
Get it into the algorithm in the proper way.
So Sawyer said it felt kind of weird giving up access, obviously, that he had worked so hard to, but with how well Piper's channel was doing, he was like, yeah, I guess I'll do it. This is, I think, a good opportunity. She's obviously, they know what they're doing over there, so I'll take a chance and hand it over. And then essentially this became what started as the squad.
Yeah.
And this was basically standard. Anyone who wanted to join the squad had to give over, their channel and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So they started adding more kids to the mix. According to Heather, Tiffany was basically trying to create a real-life kid version of the show Friends, which is so fucking weird. But that's kind of... Yeah, it was basically just a bunch of children making funny, goofy, relatable to other children content all the time under Tiffany's umbrella.
Well, Heather was speaking very freely, I think she was trying to create the show Friends. I think she was more trying to copy the David Dobrik squad and the Hype House and all that. She just saw how those were working, and those were all in place by that point. And
true. Yeah, the David Dobrik squad. How'd that work out?
But yeah, it is kind of the Friends model in a way. People do love watching Friends. That's kind of why people, I think, like our show. We always get feedback that it feels like you're hanging out with friends because we are all real friends in real life.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I get that. I like watching shows where there's multiple people on it or, there's something about vicariously feeling part of a friendship.
100%.
I think that's what they were creating.
Yep. So around that time, Corinne moved to Hollywood to chase her acting dreams. And pretty soon after she got there, Tiffany reached out to see if she wanted to do a video with Piper. And then a few months after the fallout between Sophie and Piper, Tiffany reached out to Sophie's mom with an apology, saying Piper really missed Sophie and was upset about how things ended. And so the relationship was fixed, and Sophie and Piper started to film together like old times. And once Tiffany had gathered enough kids, she had them all film a video together. And just like that, the internet ate that shit up. And the comments were rolling in, one of them being like, oh my God, it's like a whole squad. And they were like, bam, the squad was born. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it's like on paper, the idea is like, oh, other kids will watch it and they'll relate. And that's, that's the majority of it. But there's also an audience that you don't want there.
Exactly.
At least you shouldn't. But it seems like Tiffany kind of did.
Yeah, it seems like it because...
No, she straight up did.
We'll go into like some examples of what she did to like please these predators. It's fucked.
Ew.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, the group was a bunch of kids. Piper was 11, Corinne was 11, Sawyer was 12, Sophie was 11, Hayden was 11, Emily was 10, Gavin was 11, and Simone was 12. And of course, Piper was at the center of it all.
Babies.
Yeah.
Babies.
But yeah, like we said, there's Team 10, Jake Paul's thing, David Dobrik's group. Yeah, it was basically that, just with fucking children.
Yeah, and at least as far as I know, well, yeah, it's definitely as far as I know, with the Team 10 and the Hype House and the David Dobrik, it was them starting it and creating it and doing it. At least with David's, right? Like there was no like weird adult that was, Jason was there, Jason Nash.
I don't know
if he was really leading it.
I have no idea.
It's not like there was like some like adult running it and telling them.
Well, there had to be here because these kids were 10, 11, and 12.
Yes, right.
They're under like
They
16.
couldn't even fucking go buy a gallon of milk on their own, okay?
Like they could, but like they couldn't.
They could.
Okay, you know what I mean, though. Like
they couldn't buy alcohol.
Yeah, but like at who's grocery shopping for them? Not them.
Right. Yeah, no.
A 10-year-old doesn't do that.
Yes, I know what
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyways. And then the kids were individually going viral because obviously Piper is at the head of it all, but they each had their own thing going. So then their channels started to get more and more subscribers. And Corinne said being liked in the public eye gave them a ton of confidence and an ego boost. And it was a really good feeling, which I can certainly imagine so.
Yeah.
And yeah, Piper reached 100 million subscribers in just a year and a half. And she even got into singing and released her first official music video called Treat Myself.
God, 100 million subscribers is really mind-blowing.
Wild.
At that age, how do you even comprehend that?
She was raking in money.
God, I can't believe I had never heard of her. Actually, I think I've heard of her name over the years. I just never knew anything about her.
Yeah. She had brand deals. She had merch lines. She was on tour selling tickets. I mean, so many revenue streams. And was the head of a multi-million-dollar business before she
was
even 13
knew it. Before she was a teenager.
Yep. And Corinne's mom Stevie said she wasn't too well versed in the monetization of YouTube, and she said that she was a single mom living in Hollywood with a kid, and Tiffany knew this and knew the struggles. So Stevie said that Tiffany told her that she could make money off of this, and Stevie was kind of like, wait, what? Since when? And yeah, Tiffany was like, yeah, she makes a lot of money, enough to handle all the bills.
Yeah, she was like, she could handle all of your bills.
Yep. So Stevie asked Tiffany, like,
wait a second.
Hold on. Are the girls making money? Okay. And yeah, because at this point, she thought YouTube was just for fun.
Which is insane because
this
has been a while now.
Yeah.
Like, you have no excuse. You could have looked up how YouTube works and
don't understand
researched the monetization. And
did the parents didn't have any questions when, like, if I don't think the kids are being paid at the beginning, right?
No, they're not being
paid. Not paid at all. So it was all going to Tiffany and Piper, right?
Yes. And I'm like, Tiffany's not working.
Well, she basically just told all the parents, like, no, your kid's getting exposure.
Right.
They can build their own platform. So that's their
payment, quote unquote. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, okay, like, how is the other parents? Do you not question that?
Exactly.
They're like, drop your kid off at 10 a.m., pick them up at 10 p.m.
It's like daycare.
And that was like my beef with this documentary is like, they had some commentators on there that were like, I think it's hard for these parents to admit that that they had a role in this too, that they did put their kids in harm's way. And that was just annoying to me. That wasn't made more clear. Like there was so much like sympathy for them and like kind of the sob story of like poor us and we didn't know. It's like, no, you could have known. You should have been a responsible parent and done an ounce of research on this. You didn't this isn't the Stone Age, dude. You can Google 100%. Something. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. It's ridiculous. And then 2019, after the squad moment went viral, Sophie and her mom Heather ended up moving in with Tiffany, Piper, and Hunter, and they all moved into this giant fucking house.
Huge.
It's like a giant content house. And Sophie and Piper got really close. And Sophie said that she felt like Piper talked to her about everything. And, Piper got really close to Sophie's mom. And Heather said Piper had pulled her aside and allegedly asked her if she and Sophie would move in with her because she wanted a stable parent and didn't feel like she had that with her mom, which is so fucking red flaggy. Like, hello. She's basically begging for you to come be her mom because her mom is not her mom.
Yeah, that was a sad part where Heather really realized that and said, we left her behind with a monster. She still thinks about her all the time, how close they were. It was really sad to see. Yeah.
Sophie claims that Tiffany, didn't really seem to care what was in the best interest for Piper and says that, that's the main reason that Sophie and her mom said yes to moving in with them. So they could try and help raise her essentially or be her mom.
So weird.
And Heather said that Piper felt truly like a second child and they all became this little family, which is
just look at this picture, you guys. This is so bizarre. What the hell? The matching outfits, like what? And the partners in crime.
He did it. She did it.
It's just
these are adults.
This is very much a foreshadowing photo here, too.
Oh, yeah. So, the filming schedules were fucking crazy, you guys. 10 to 15 videos a day.
Dude, I can't imagine that.
You had to be there at 11. You were shooting till 1 or 2 in the morning every fucking day.
That's horrible.
Couple hours of sleep. Then get up around 6 or 7 for homeschooling, which went until 10 or 11 a.m. Then you would go to film.
And so at what point can these parents just keep saying like, oh, we had no idea. We thought it was all innocent fun.
Right.
Shut the fuck up.
Right.
Your kid's getting 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night. At this age, it's still recommended by doctors that your kid, which most people don't do this, it's like pretty unrealistic. But I believe the American Pediatric Society suggests 12 hours of sleep until like age 10 or 12 or something like that.
Well, I can guarantee you 2 or 3 is not cutting it.
No, absolutely not.
And Sawyer said that it started to feel like you were just a fucking puppet, essentially. It's being told what to do in a factory, essentially.
Yeah, that's what he said. It really like ruined it for him because he was like, why am I here?
Right.
I used to do this because I was having fun and I got to express my own creativity. And now I'm just showing up, being told what to do. And it's like a factory.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is so sad. But Sawyer also said that maybe 1 out of 50 of the videos were actually fun. Most of the time they were just faking it, which again, at that point, I'm like, okay, so the jig is up. You know your kid's not having fun.
Yes, come on. Like, yeah. And if you don't notice your kid isn't having fun, then you are a terrible parent. Yeah. Like, how do you not? You have to be able to pick up on your kid's emotion, right? They're your child.
Right.
Looking back at these videos now, like I was watching a few of them and you can tell they're not enjoying it. Yeah. It's like easy for us to see as adults, especially like in this industry. But like kids that are watching don't really pick up on that type of thing. They're like, it's easy to fool kids.
Oh, yeah.
And predators who are watching don't care about that.
No, that's not.
Yeah, probably
they don't give a shit if they're having fun or not. We just want to look at you.
Yeah.
Oh, disgusting.
It's disgusting. And then Stevie also pointed out that during this time, Corinne was working other gigs, and at those other gigs, there were teachers on set and food provided and controlled hours. A totally different setup than filming with the squad, but she still brought her there.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent work. Mm-hmm. And in the docuseries, obviously the Coogan Law comes up as a key point when they talk about the legal protections here or the lack of them for kid influencers. I mean, we've gone over this so many times. Traditional child actors, of course, have the Coogan Law to protect their earnings and guarantee some financial security. There's still people that get screwed all the time. Yep. But kid influencers like Piper and the squad, they don't have those safeguards. There's just nothing in place. Nope. And the series is really used to underline how the current system is outdated. It doesn't protect kids making serious money online, leaving them vulnerable to exploitation by these momagers, or you could say dadagers too. I'm sure there's those out there. Actually, I know there fucking are.
Yeah.
I won't name names, but yeah, they're all trying to control their careers, and it's basically framed as this big legal gap that needs attention, which it absolutely does, because it's really the Wild West out there for kid influencers and family vloggers and all. I mean, we've talked about this so much.
There's no sort of like federal law that, has to be followed. And still, even then,
how do they regulate that?
How do they regulate it? Because how do you actually calculate how many hours of work the child is doing?
Yeah.
You could film for 4 hours and upload 20 minutes of the 4-hour footage into a vlog. And like, they don't know that. No one knows that.
Yeah.
I really feel like the only way to regulate it is for these platforms to make it against terms of service to upload content of children that's monetized, period. And if like maybe it has to be something where it's done on a set, because that's where it's moving, right? This is becoming YouTube and social media is becoming a more common platform than TV. Like, not many people are watching TV. Of course, movies are different, whatever. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is becoming the new normal. So maybe it needs to move to something where all that type of stuff has to be in a regulated environment with sets and like a full production team, and the Coogan laws apply, that you can't just do the content at home. Like, I don't see any other way to regulate it other than just shutting down having kids in content on monetized platforms, period.
Or like, what if monetized platforms hold the funds until that child is of age?
Maybe there's an opportunity for people who really want to like build something for their children, like a college fund and stuff, that they'd be like, okay, that's great. That's what we want it for anyway. I mean, that's like a very small percentage of people, right? I feel like it would turn away the wrong type of people who just want to exploit them.
Yeah.
And then there's like, God, I was on Heyday, and there's ads on Heyday for like, you can like cut the time and it doesn't even matter. There's ads on this fucking game that I play. And there was someone, it was like an influencer that got paid to do an ad for like a vitamin company, some type of kids vitamin. And she had her kid in the ad, and it plays not just on her platform, but on Heyday or wherever else this ad plays, God knows where else. And the kid's in the ad. And I'm like, does he make, and he's like selling the vitamins.
Interesting.
It's just like, what? Something's got to give here. We're just going to let this be the way that we conduct ourselves in society, that we have no way to know if this kid's going to benefit at all.
Right.
Is mommy just going to get all the money for the vitamin ad? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I think kids, just need to be removed from it, because even if you had a fund like saving, it's still taking away from like their
childhood.
Their childhood. It's like, to like, if they really love doing it, okay, but still, it's like, what kid wants to sit there and record, like, okay, start over, start over. Like, the amount of times they probably,
like 13, 14-hour days.
That's just, I'm like, what kid really likes that?
I'm with you, Sydney. I think, like, I don't know if it's even possible at this point. Like, now that the cat's out of the bag, can you put it back in?
Right.
But I think platforms, especially like YouTube, can make, and they'll never do this.
No.
They'll never do this.
No, because it takes too much work on their part. And
it's just going to take so much money from them. It's like a huge, it would take like, oh my God, can you imagine if you could no longer monetize content with kids? Because like right now you have to click a box to
put it out
to show that I think it's for kids. I don't even think there's a check marks is there a check to say if there's kids in the content?
No, it just says if it's
for kids. So, see, that's what needs to change too. I feel like I just don't think kids should be allowed in content if it's monetized. If you want to upload a video of your kid, you shouldn't be allowed to monetize it. That's never going to happen. I think that's the only solution. I don't know. Is that too extreme? Am I just crazy for even like, I mean, it's not going to happen, obviously. I know that, but I just don't see another way.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have the fucking answer. I don't know.
I think if you can't make a career out of social media without having your kids in it, then you just shouldn't be doing it. If you don't have the talent on your own, then like you need to use your children. I don't think you deserve to have a platform.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Okay, so let's talk about Tiffany and the fucking cats. Okay?
Yeah.
This is insane. And I love cats. I have 3 cats myself, and I would have as many cats as I could if that was a reasonable thing to do in life. But this is absolutely insane. I feel bad for these cats. So, yeah, she's really into rescuing cats, which sounds great, right? Of course. We love a good cat rescue. And originally, Tiffany and Piper just had 2 cats, but according to Sophie, they kept rescuing these cats until they had 36 cats that were living inside the house with them. Can you imagine?
That's a hoarding.
I know, it is.
Yeah.
36.
I really can't imagine. I mean, I have 10 animals, and it is like absolutely insane. There's a lot of times where I'm like, why did I do this? I love them all dearly. No regrets.
Your animals are extremely well taken care of. It's not like you have some fucking crazy hoarding situation.
No.
You have the means to be able to like keep them. They all have enough space.
Our house is clean. They'll have
clean.
Yes.
They have good food, good vet care.
My damn rabbits have their own fucking bedroom.
Yeah, they eat like organic lettuce every day.
They have a massive salad. They're super, super healthy. Yes, I am lucky that I'm able to take care of 10 pets, but it's just a lot. It's a lot, especially like once we had our daughter, we were like,
holy shit.
We really overcommitted to the pet thing. Right. But like, no regrets. Like I said, I love them. They're all amazing animals.
Yeah.
But yeah, like,
that's
I just
10.
can't imagine 36 because I have a cat with intestinal disease who's shitting on the floor like all the time. Like yesterday, I know, my poor baby.
Oh,
he's old, but he shit on the floor yesterday. The whole upstairs smelled so bad. Holly got it from her nap, and she's like, someone pooped. Someone pooped. But yeah, like I can't imagine with 36 of them.
Yeah, that's almost 4 times the amount of animals you have.
Cats can be like really nasty too. But yeah, she said it was insane trying to keep up with them. Dude, garbage bags filled with litter. God. So heavy the trash collectors wouldn't take them. That reminds me of our rabbit boxes. Our rabbits have, because I have giant rabbits, they're like bigger than my biggest rabbit is bigger than my biggest cat. She is massive. And so we use horse bedding, and we use these giant cement mixers as their litter boxes. And it is so, I can't change the boxes. Josh has to do it. But it is so heavy. Him trying to haul the litter out is like a weekly, it's a lot. And bags, I can't imagine 36 cats, dude, because cat litter is really heavy.
It's essentially sand.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Bags of sand.
Wet sand. And poop, too.
Stinks. Oh, it smells so bad. Wet litter is the nastiest smell.
So heavy, the trash collectors wouldn't even collect them. They're like, fuck you with this. And it didn't stop there. Heather said that over time they had around 60 to 70 cats.
This is like ridiculous.
That is
unless you have a full-fledged like nonprofit like sanctuary rescue. What the fuck are you doing?
You get a separate building.
That's absurd. There's no way in hell. Yeah, there's no way in fucking hell all those cats are clean and that the house stays clean
and that they're being all fed this correct amount
and have all the vet care they need.
Well, that's when. Right. The squad became quite useful.
They're like, no problem.
Tiffany. Mm-hmm. Yep. Because she had this obsession eventually to clean the cats clean the house for 2 hours every night with bleach and water, which also like every day you're using bleach in the house.
Yeah, that's like
not good for anyone. Not good for the cats. Not good for the kids.
And why is the squad having to clean it up?
Yeah. I guess I'm be the ones to clean.
I guess I'm kind of glad that the fucking cats had a clean house and that these poor kids had somewhat of a clean house. But like, why are you making the ones them do it?
Exactly. Yeah, especially when you're making so much money off them. Hire someone.
You could hire a full-time staff to watch over just the cats.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. And they certainly were making enough money.
Right.
But no, they want to spend that on Gucci bags and Apple products.
Yeah, they didn't finish filming until 1 a.m. and they'd be cleaning until 3, Sophie said.
Kids.
It's fucking insane.
Their parents like, what excuse do you have?
It's for fun.
So fun. So much fun. Don't want to take them away from the fun. We're stuck here.
It's
ridiculous.
Yeah. And once the squad really started bringing in money, it all became about the numbers. How many people can we get to watch? How do we keep them watching? And like, once you got to like keep upping the ante, right? Because once you get a certain amount of followers or whatever, and because you put out a crazy video, okay, well, what are you going to do next time?
Yeah.
To get even more or to keep the viewers from getting bored.
Mm-hmm. Or trick them with the latest fake prank and all that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were truly going to do whatever they could to get the views, including putting their children in incredibly uncomfortable situations. So they started making up storylines like everyone be mean to this one person in the group and basically creating fake drama to hook viewers in and pull people into their content.
And also inspire other kids to bully people within their own groups.
Right,
Like,
perfect.
It's excellent.
That's actually quite beautiful. Yeah,
it is.
Who are we going to be mean to?
Yeah.
That's nice. Tiffany was definitely pushing for more questionable stuff, including Frank the Pug, okay? So let's talk about Frank the Pug for a second here. Tiffany and Piper had a pug named Frank. Really cute dog. Poor fucking dog, okay? And he showed up in a ton of their videos, and he was basically a creator in the video. Like, he had his own character in the videos.
But it was like Tiffany.
Right. It was through Tiffany, though. That was like putting on the character. Obviously, he's a fucking dog. She'd hold Frank and do this like really weird voice that's kind of in this weird, creepy tone. But basically, Frank's character, the fucking dog's character, was made out to be this like really mean, snarky dog who constantly made rude comments about the kids, would tease them, put them down, insulted them. And it started off as like a joke, supposedly, but then it really did cross the line pretty quickly here.
It's a trip, so she'll be out of the house. I'll have to get around, old washed up peasant.
It's so fucking weird.
It's the stupidest thing.
It's like,
Okay.
why couldn't Frank the dog just be like a nice character?
Yeah.
If it was going to be a character, you know?
And Tiffany has to act him out.
Yeah. So basically, it became a way for Tiffany to criticize these kids without it having to come directly from her, quote unquote. You know, like be said through him.
Which is a pattern for her that we'll get to later.
Yes.
With Lenny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Use the animals to do things.
Forgot about Lenny.
How could you forget about Lenny? It's like the worst part of it all. It's so scary.
Yeah.
We'll get to Lenny.
But yeah, he would constantly single out Sophie specifically, making digs at her, mocking her, always going after her. And even Piper seemed confused when Frank would make nasty comments to her. But
let's remember, she did this.
Right, exactly.
Dog didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Exactly. Things got especially disturbing when it came to Tiffany's behavior around Gavin. Not in a just friends kind of way. It was very, very creepy. Tiffany would straight up flirt with Gavin through Frank again.
Yep.
You know, at one point she literally asked him in character if he had a boner from looking at her.
Ew.
He was 12 or 13 at this point. What the fuck is that?
Sad.
Gavin didn't really seem to understand what she was saying, but everyone made it clear that what Tiffany was doing was super fucking creepy and uncomfortable. So around this time, Corinne would go home crying and share details with her mom about what was going on at Tiffany's house. And Corinne's mom thankfully shut it down and said that they were fucking leaving. And there's this like one text that Tiffany sent to Corinne's mom after making the decision to leave the squad. It says, "Whatever, you don't actually care. All you cared about was trying to hurt me and my friends. Don't text me anymore." What kind of fucking weird ass text is that? So Corinne was obviously confused and was asking the group what had happened, and someone responded saying, "Hi, Corinne, I love you, but Piper forced me into unfollowing you. What did you do? Hello, she keeps saying you're bad news." So basically, once someone left, Tiffany took it upon herself to turn everyone else against that person. And Sawyer said that if he didn't unfollow Corinne, he wouldn't be allowed in Piper's videos. The power dynamic is just absolutely disgusting.
Oh, this part was so shocking.
Yeah, Tiffany had people on social media hating on Corinne as well, calling her a backstabber. And she was pretty much blacklisted after she left the group and was like cut off completely. Tiffany had control over everything and everyone. And it eventually became clear that she was so manipulative and she really just didn't give a fuck about anyone but herself and would screw anyone over, and backstab them if they basically questioned her at all. And at the end of the first episode, it starts going into Raegan Beast, who is another content creator. And he talks a lot about his experience being around Tiffany, Hunter, and Piper, and his live stream incident with Tiffany, which this is so fucking disturbing, you guys, okay? This is one of the ones that's like, if you want to fast forward, go forward a couple of minutes here.
Heads up. He was only 17 around this time.
So Raegan said that after collaborating with Piper, he started to hang out quite a bit with Hunter, Tiffany, and Piper. And he shares that during that time, Tiffany started making very inappropriate comments to Raegan, saying things like, "You're going to be so sexy when you're a little bit older." What the fuck, dude?
Yeah. Oh, no words. Disgusting.
And he recalled that Tiffany asked a lot of invasive and uncomfortable questions about his transition because he is transgender. Things like, when are you getting this surgery? And you're getting this surgery, right? And like those things aren't just insensitive, but they're also
wildly
inappropriate to ask a kid.
Ask any
Anyone,
human being. My God.
But especially a fucking kid.
Yeah. This woman is unwell.
So yeah, at one point they're doing this live stream and he talks about how Tiffany was giving them like a bunch of alcohol, so they were drunk. And during the live stream, he says that Tiffany started getting like really touchy with him. And even at one point, Piper was telling Tiffany to stop. But then out of nowhere, Tiffany grabbed Raegan's face and started kissing him on camera on the live stream.
I remember this happening. Yeah.
Oh, you saw it live?
I didn't see it live, but I saw it afterwards. And honestly, it's taken me until right now to connect two and two together.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I remember this happening. And like I remember like trying to find it again, and then you could not find it anywhere. And I honestly thought I just like imagined it or something.
Yeah.
Because I obviously didn't know who Rochelle or Piper Rochelle was, and I had seen just something about Piper Rochelle's mom kissed a minor on live.
I can't even, like, right on camera. She's such an idiot. And the fact that she's giving them alcohol too. Yeah. What the fuck's happening there?
Yeah.
Did any of the parents know about that? Like, why? It's so bizarre. And yeah, I guess Piper had to physically pull her mom off of him and had to like literally grab her face and yank her away. And you can see that in the video, but we don't have the video. It's like scrubbed from the internet. But Tiffany still didn't stop. And on camera, she leaned right back in and kissed him again.
What
he was only 17
fuck are you
at the time.
Doing?
That she's like, there are no words.
And poor Raegan,
I know,
was saying how fucking terrified he was that this happened and worried that like he was gonna get in trouble or something.
Well, he was the one who stopped the stream, he said too. That he was like, okay, that's like, he knew right away like what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And he thought his career was over. He was freaking out. Like there was at first there was tons of comments and buzz, and that's probably what you were seeing, Karelly.
Yeah.
People were talking about it and freaking out, and he was super anxious, couldn't sleep, didn't know what to do. But then he woke up the next morning, checked the video, and everything was gone. The footage had been completely wiped from the internet. No clips, no evidence, nothing, which I don't understand how she was doing
I don't get it either.
How, like, what kind of powers does this woman have? And it wasn't just that, but the comments stopped. Like, she must have set up blocks on everything. He didn't see any comments anywhere, even talking about it anymore. It's like it never happened.
I know. I don't understand how you can do that.
It's just like you, Karelly. Like, he thought he, like, dreamed it in a way. Because he's like, what? It's just gone.
Yeah.
Literally scrubbed it.
Which I guess, like, in a way, that's good.
Right.
That it's off the internet. But also, it's
hiding the evidence.
Yeah. And it's just, how confused would you be of like, oh, okay, so I guess I just will wipe that from my fucking memory that just happened to me and never bring it up again?
Yeah. And he didn't go to the police because he was scared. He was scared it was going to ruin his career, ruin Piper's. And they're afraid of Tiffany as well. That, of course. So there's going to be backlash for him, for the other squad members, and for Piper. And after that, Raegan kept his distance from Tiffany. So the members in the squad seemed to like constantly change, but it was always Piper at the center, of course. And in 2019, the squad included Sophie, Sawyer, Gavin, and Frank the Pug, the bully. So weird. Jinx. But anyway, Piper was making a shit ton of money. At her peak, she was earning between $300,000 and $500,000 a month.
It's crazy, like, as a child.
Right. And Tiffany, of course, is the one behind the content. If you look at all the videos, you can see that they're mainly copycat videos of other creators. Like, she was straight up doing like, oh, we're going to be Mr. Beast for a day. Like, anything. She was just, whatever was trending at the time, she would do it. But at this point in time, it was crushes that were trending, especially for the younger audience.
This is the weirdest shit.
Crush content. I had never heard of this.
Neither had I.
This is absolutely sick. It's where you pair a boy and a girl in a video and frame it like they have a crush on each other. Because they're obviously relating to like real, because of course kids have crushes. It's like the main thing that's all consuming when you're at that age, right?
100%.
Like your crush, who's crushing on who? My crush. And yeah, they're framing it like they have a crush on each other. And most of the time it wasn't real, but the kids were expected to act like it was, playing up the romance for camera, putting them in these ridiculous situations that kids should never be put in, like beyond just doing them naturally in your own time and like experimenting.
Like everyone has crushes and is flirting,
and first
whatever.
kisses
Like, that's
and things
fine.
like that.
But like to be acting it and essentially like paired up together with someone.
Gosh, just look at this picture.
I know, it's so disgusting.
Oh my God, this is all 4 of them.
And then the whole like shipping thing, which I mean, everyone knows what that is. Like,
I don't know if everyone knows.
Oh, really?
Just to be clear.
Basically, like, where people are such fans of 2 people that they like want them to be together. They ship them.
Yeah. Like you could have like 2 characters on a show and be like, I ship them. I wish they were together.
So yeah, the more people shipped a certain pair, the more views, comments, and hype the video got. Okay. And yeah, Tiffany brought Gavin in to be Piper's on-camera crush, and the fans started calling them Pavin. Sorry, Pavin. Hashtag Pavin.
Like what really pissed me off about these parents is they knew that this crush content was happening. They were letting their kids go in it. Yeah. They were just like, oh, we didn't know. Like it was innocent little crush.
We couldn't get out. Fuck off. That's so creepy.
It's bullshit. They were so full of shit.
But here's what the weird part. Tiffany seemed really into Gavin herself. Sophie said that Tiffany would constantly make flirty little inside jokes toward him and would go out of her way to interact with him. And she said it was always played off as a joke, like, oh, it's just Frank the Pug saying that, as if blaming it on the dog made it fine, which is so fucking weird. And Sophie said that they'd laugh it off all the time, but deep down it was very creepy and something fell off. And these were adults making jokes towards minors. And the parents of the kids in the video started to question things that were going on. No shit, while your kids are filming, like the clothing they were being told to wear, the amount of hours they were working. And they really did start to get suspicious. And Gavin ended up being pulled out of the squad, and people online were wondering why Gavin and Piper broke up and who broke up with who. It was like this big drama. And in a video that he shared online, he said that no one broke up with anyone. He said it was his parents who pulled him out of the toxic environment, which he was very grateful that they did that. But then, of course, obviously someone else has to come into the picture. And so Walker comes into the mix, and Walker's mom, Jen, talks about Walker's involvement in the squad in the docuseries. And he himself did not participate in the docuseries, but basically Walker started off mostly doing commercials and short films and episodes on TV. And then Jen said that she got a DM on Instagram, and it was from Piper, same account, remember, because Tiffany like goes through her account and says, hey, we're looking for kids to film with. Would you be interested in doing YouTube? And Piper and Gavin were obviously not a thing anymore. So, of course, the new relationship was the 2 of them. So, yeah, Sophie's mom said that Piper having a boyfriend was absolutely critical for the views. Because, yeah, I mean, if you're a kid at that age, like, I'm sure that's exactly the type of stuff you'd want to watch, because it's a little bit like scandalous kind of, but it's also very relatable because you have crushes at that age.
Yeah, I could have seen myself into that as a kid.
But yeah, it was very clear that once someone leaves the squad, like Tiffany's like, all right, no problem, on to the next, and just gets another person. So yeah, Piper and Walker became Piker. And Tiffany also decided that Sawyer needed to ship. So she pulled in Indy Star to join the squad to be the crush for Sawyer, and their fucking ship name was Cindy. So stupid. And Sawyer said it was really awkward and embarrassing. He said he wasn't really into Indy at the time, and said he probably thought it was awkward for her too. And, you know, having the word crush in the title made the videos do so well that they basically didn't have a choice, because obviously it's all about the monetization of the
Didn't
views.
have a choice. So much money, there is no choice to be had anymore. Like, we were seeing it was working, so...
Sawyer was making $50,000 a month at just 14 years old. So it was working in that sense, if that's what you mean, of like making a lot of money.
Yeah, that's exactly what they meant. They're like, it was all good while the money was coming in. And then once it wasn't anymore, then they got pissed. And then in retrospect, they're like, oh.
Mm-hmm. Then there was Sophie and her ship named Jophie, which was Jenzten and Sophie.
This is so stupid.
Jenzten and Sophie actually did like each other, so their crush ship became a real thing. But of course, it started off as an audition. And in 2019, Sophie was 12 and Jenzten was 13. And while Jenzten doesn't appear in the docuseries, his mom, Jonna, does. And she recalled that her first impression of Tiffany was that she seemed really nice. And at the time, their family was dealing with a lot of medical issues involving their cat. And Tiffany, obviously being the fucking animal lover that she is, donated $1,000 toward the cat's surgery. And at first, Sophie and Jensen's relationship appeared pretty innocent. But Jonna said that over time, the content started to feel inappropriate. And Tiffany was directing the kids to hug and pose in certain ways, which is fucking so weird. And everything was so calculated and orchestrated to get that perfect shot for the views. And Sophie said that it was even worse off camera, that she claimed Tiffany would ask them things like, when are you going to do more than kiss? You're asking that to fucking children off camera. I mean, on camera is just as bad too, but like that is so creepy.
It's repulsive.
Tiffany would tell the kids like, oh, flirt with the camera. Like there's clips of her saying that. They even acted out being at a fucking wedding. At one point, Piper was like getting married. It's so fucking weird.
And the girls were like dressed up as like
bridesmaids.
And
so bizarre. So then Jenzten launched his own YouTube channel, and his very first video got over 1 million views. And since, of course, Hunter, don't forget him, he was recording, editing, producing the videos, and helping the kids to get those elevated numbers of views and subscribers. And so obviously, it was expected that you pay 10% of your child's earnings to Hunter and sign a contract, because he's the one that's helping your kid's channel do so well as well. And Jonna said that she didn't feel like this was a good idea, because if they ever wanted to separate from the group but still create content, that they wouldn't be able to do that, anymore on their own.
That's your concern.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Says it all, doesn't it?
Yep. So Tiffany and Hunter took a percentage from all the kids' channels, which, like, yeah, that's pretty normal if you're the one that's like helping someone else kind of like start their own thing, especially if they're like under your management.
If you're like an agency or something. This is a mom making shit out of her house.
Right, exactly. But yeah, the fact that mom was running the whole show is really what was so fucking creepy about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, she ran the entire thing. Like, she was the deciding factor for everything. Who landed the brand deals, who those deals were going to be placed with, who made the most money, who held the product on camera, like fucking everything. And she would say things like, if you dress this way, I'll make sure you're in Piper's next 3 thumbnails, which is like, of course you want to be in the thumbnail because you get more exposure, but like in order to do it, you have to dress this way.
Yeah.
And Sophie's mom, on top of everything else, ended up being the stylist for all the kids. Yeah, she said that her full-time job became like shopping for these children.
Yeah.
And buying things that are very sexual for a fucking kid. And Tiffany, I guess, would get pissed at her when she didn't buy the right type of clothes and would say things like, Piper is not Sophie. She's sluttier. Get her sluttier clothes. She needs to show more. Because what the fuck?
Ew, imagine describing your child, your 12-year-old, as like a sluttier.
She's
as
sluttier
in
that.
general.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I'm going to let Janelle take over for a little bit.
Are you dying?
I don't know what's wrong with me. I just feel really sick. I don't know if it's this that's making me feel sick. I just feel like nauseous and I am unwell. I feel dizzy. I'm just going to like try to go reset in the bathroom.
Okay.
And hopefully I'll be back.
And this is also so fucking weird, you guys, but Sophie's mom's friend did all the thumbnails for the kids. And he was instructed to alter the kids' appearances of like making their boobs bigger, making their butt bigger, show more skin to fucking kids, to sexualize small children on the internet to get them more views. What? It doesn't like pretty much get any more disgusting than that, in my opinion. Oh, and Tiffany would say shit like sex sells, make them more sexy. Ugh, it's just so fucking sick. Yeah, so Sophie's mom said it didn't feel right, but, she didn't feel like she could do anything to change it. And unfortunately, the weirdness pretty much became normalized, which I'm like, I don't really understand that. What you mean by that? Like, it became normalized to do that? You should have pulled your kid out. I don't know. For the most part, like we've been talking about, young kids are watching the content, okay? But that's not the only type of people who are watching this type of content. It's actually kind of hard to know who's really watching on the other side of the screen. And parents often convince themselves it's all harmless because facing the real situation means admitting they might be putting their kid in harm's way. And this is where Meghan is introduced. And this is fucking insane, you guys, okay?
I thought this is probably one of the worst parts.
I think so too, yeah. So Ashley, Patience's wife, said that early on, she saw a video of Piper right after her 10th birthday, and Piper was on her front porch, totally surrounded by boxes of gifts, stuffed animals, squishies, all kinds of stuff. And it was all from this fan named Meghan. Okay. And at first, Ashley thought it was actually kind of sweet, which I don't know, whatever. But Sophie assumed that Meghan was just like this young girl who was a fan and just really liked Piper and wanted to, send her gifts or whatever. Turns out Meghan's actually an older man. And he was posing online as a girl and ran what looked like a typical fan account. Yeah, this Meghan person was like running fan accounts of Piper. Whatever. So Tiffany told Sophie's mom he likes pictures of Piper. He's her stalker, but he sends her gifts. You can get stuff too if you send him pictures. So Tiffany fully knew that this Meghan person was an older man and was not only encouraging or okay with her kid being involved, but other kids too. So fucking, I just tried to play it off of like it wasn't a big deal. But
I remember she had Piper talk on the phone with him too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And then, so that's also how it was 100% sure he was a man.
Yep. Tiffany would say shit like, it's just extra pictures from her photo shoot. It's nothing bad. He's just a pervert.
He's just a pervert.
So you're acknowledging the fact that he's a pervert and you still don't care and you're sending extra content to him specifically of your kid. What a fucking evil human being.
That has to be illegal. It just
I know.
That's just,
yeah.
Ugh.
It's disgusting. But yeah, by flirting and sending Meghan photos, Tiffany got herself a Gucci bag from Meghan. And then, of course, Piper got one as well. The fuck? He would send her brand new computers, cameras, lenses, iPhones, hoverboards. Honestly, anything that Piper wanted, Meghan would get her because Tiffany was sending Meghan exclusive content. So Meghan reached out to Sophie and Heather said she blocked him right away, thank God. Now, this is probably one of the most disturbing situations of it all. So at one point, Corinne's mom, Stevie, said that Corinne came home and asked her, why do old men like to smell underwear? And naturally, she was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And where did you even hear about that? And Corinne told her that while Piper was off at dance and acting lessons, she was out running errands with Tiffany. And Tiffany said that she needed to go to the post office. And Corinne noticed that she had a bag with her. And when she looked inside the bag, it looked like it had Piper's underwear in it. So Corinne, just being the kid and not really understanding what that was, asked, why are you mailing those? And Tiffany told her that men who are old men, like to smell them. And Corinne said that she was really confused. And Corinne's mom was like, what the fuck? So she confronted Tiffany, and Tiffany responded by saying, stop being so dramatic. So yeah, you heard that right. Tiffany was mailing out Piper, a child, her used underwear, you guys, to, I don't know who all, but I would assume at the very least, Meghan, this old guy, which is just...
It's sick.
Like, there's truly no other word than it's just absolutely fucking repulsive. What is wrong with you? You should be in jail for doing that, you evil, sick fuck. To send your innocent child's fucking dirty clothes to a pervert. To any... Like, what the fuck is that?
She's just fueling this whole...
And to know about it, and when you're getting confronted, you're like, oh, stop.
You're being dramatic.
He's just a pervert. What does that mean?
Yeah,
he's just a pervert.
That you're giving him access to your 13-year-old child.
So
like,
disgusting.
Again, you're the one that's supposed to be protecting her. Whether Piper knows or doesn't, I don't think that's the point.
Yeah.
She probably does know, knowing what we know about Tiffany and how open she is with everything with Piper and how she wants Piper to embrace her sexuality.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's disgusting. Like, Piper, what's her name? Tiffany needs to, she needs to,
she's a pervert.
She's a predator.
Totally.
She's
absolutely.
I'm surprised, she's
like sexually abusing her own daughter.
Yes.
Fuck, and other kids too, which we'll get into. It's just fucking insane, you guys. Okay, so let's get into this next part here, which has to do with COVID. Obviously, we all know this, that once COVID hit, everyone was chronically online more than they ever had been. And kids were home from school. You know, kids were online more than they ever have been. Adults were home from work online more than they ever had been. Everyone was just online more than, ever, really. And there was nothing to do. There was nowhere to go. So really all you had was the internet. And watching YouTube became the go-to, especially for children. So Sophie mentioned that everyone's YouTube channels in the group were blowing up during that time. I think just in general, like any content creator can attest to the fact that like during COVID, what else is there to do really other than consume a ton of media? And Sophie said that the downside was that the hours of filming became extremely long. The videos were longer. The amount of videos they filmed had increased. Everything just ramped up even more. She said that the workload was absolutely so overwhelming. They were so exhausted. And during this time, Piper's step cousin had gone out to LA, and the oldest one, Claire, was brought into the squad. And she said that she was really grateful because she was hanging out with this big group of kids while everyone else was isolated at home doing online school. And Claire's stepmom, Patience, said that she was excited to be accepted into Tiffany's life again and ended up working for her at the house. And she wasn't even being paid. She said that Tiffany offered to pay her, but that she said until you guys start making more money, she'll just do the work for free because she was family. If you look at a lot of these influencers, there's this pressure to continuously outdo yourself, kind of what I was talking about. Like once you put something crazy out, like, okay, what are you going to do next time to up the ante? What are you going to do next time to keep your viewers coming back week after week? And they were just doing crazy challenges, very uncomfortable, weird stuff. One of the clips shows the kids with a spinner, and if it landed on Kiss the Host, then they would have to like kiss them. And you can just, it's so fucking weird and uncomfortable what these kids were having to do. And then they started doing these prank videos, and it was like really fun for all the people pulling the pranks, but obviously if you were the one being pranked, it was very scary. And these weren't like little harmless pranks, okay? These were very, very scary pranks. For example, there's this one, it's like an arrest prank. They literally hire actors to pretend like they're police officers, and they show up and arrest one of the kids whose name was Lev. And they were all super confused. Jensen's crying. All the kids are like, what the fuck? Why is he being arrested? And then they're like, oh, just kidding. It was a prank. Ha ha ha. And like the kids are like mortified, and
it's horrible. Like the police were like laughing afterwards, and like the kids are like clearly traumatized.
Yeah, like having panic attacks, and those police who are just actors were like, oh, they'll get over it, haha. And Heather said it was one that turned out absolutely horrible. And Jonna, Jensen's mom, was really pissed about this. And so Tiffany later called Jonna and was threatening Jensen's spot in the squad. Because of course, like if you are in any way, shape, or form upset with the content, then Tiffany's coming for your throat. So the whole thing blows up. Jensen's dad was roped in and ended up siding with Tiffany. So after this blow up with Jonna and Tiffany, she was no longer allowed on set, and only the dad was allowed on set. So Tiffany starts filling Jensen's head with all these lies about like your mom is really bad and she wants to steal all your money. She's going to try and take it all this crap. And in 2020, Sophie said that they were warned CPS might be coming by because someone had reported concerns about Tiffany's behavior. And CPS did show up, but according to the doc, Tiffany had coached the kids, specifically Sophie and Piper, on what to say. And that they're like, oh no, she's really nice. Nothing's wrong here, nothing to be concerned about. And so the case went nowhere. So around this time, Sophie's mom said Sophie's phone suddenly disappeared, and Tiffany set up a new account for Sophie, but then started going through her messages with her mom. And Tiffany came across one where Sophie said, I wish we could adopt Piper and leave. And her mom said, me too. Obviously, this pissed Tiffany off. She comes out screaming, going off on everyone and everything. And Sophie ended up losing it and blew up at Tiffany. And in return, Sophie ended up being put on punishment. For 2 weeks, she wasn't allowed to film videos because she needed to apologize to Tiffany. So fucking weird. And Heather said the only way she could be back, in the squad was if she were to give up parental rights. But Heather refused, thank God. Yeah, she basically was like, fuck you and your squad. And the two of them moved out that next week. And Tiffany allegedly sent this message out to the squad members after the blow up, saying, "Squad, this is important. I need everyone to block Sophie and Heather on all socials. We need to do this ASAP today. The need for this is entirely business-based. She and Heather are trying to hurt Piper and Jenzten's business." And Sophie said that this was absolutely heartbreaking, especially with Jenzten. He was, her first boyfriend, and then he had to block her. It's just like the most insane shit. And yeah, they never spoke again after that. And then months later, Sophie said he started getting shipped with a new girl, Ileana, with a new hashtag and everything. And obviously Sophie was very like hurt over this. She lost Piper, and she said that she wanted to be there for her but couldn't. And Sophie begged her mom to go back, but her mom was like, fuck no, you're not going back to that place. And in March of 2021, the next one to go was Sawyer. And this was by his own choice. And then a couple of months later in May, Claire, who is Tiffany's step-niece, said her breaking point was the first time she stood up to Tiffany and saw how she handled it and said that she couldn't take it anymore. And then Ashley, Claire's mom, said that after she saw Tiffany raise her voice to her daughter and say degrading things to her, that they were done. And then in June of 2021, Ashley said that the morning they left, they didn't show up for filming on one of the first videos. And Ashley said she received a voicemail from Hunter saying, "Okay, Ashley, I'm so confused. I don't know what's going on here. I've been very transparent and clear the entire time. Now, all of a sudden, everything that I trusted and cared about and honestly loved more than anything is gone. My feelings are hurt. No one said anything to me. I just woke up one day and boom, half my shit's gone. Half the kids that I'm going to say, raised in the social media world and cared about and loved more than anything because I don't have anything, just fucking quit on me. Like, can you call me?" And so Ashley said that his voicemail was very frantic because he now had to go tell Tiffany. And Heather shared that she felt bad for Piper and always wondered how she was doing. This whole thing is just so devastating. So Jenzten's mom said that she couldn't protect him from what was going on in the squad and couldn't get him out. So she actually ended up filing for divorce so that she could get legal custody of him and, try and protect her son. And Jenzten's mom accused Tiffany of telling Jenzten that he needed to emancipate himself from his mother because, in her eyes, she's super toxic, blah, 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 all this stuff. And she said, at that point, by the end of 2020, Jenzten wouldn't really even talk to her. I guess at one point said that Tiffany was a better mom than she is, which is, it's just so twisted and sad. So at one point, Piper posted this video on YouTube kind of addressing all the drama of like why people are dropping like flies. And she says that everyone who leaves the squad claims that it's because of it's a toxic environment, but you can tell she's just like very coached during this, and I'm sure that her mom was behind the camera telling her exactly what to say. And it's just crazy because the comments that were coming through to the kids that left were really bad. Like the public totally turned on them and were saying stuff like, "Oh, you got famous and then, left Piper and all this shit." And it's clear, obviously, no one really knew what was going on. So let's go ahead and get to the lawsuit here. So in January of 2022, 11 teens who were former members of the squad filed a lawsuit against Tiffany Smith, her boyfriend Hunter Hill, and Tiffany's company, Piper Rockelle, Inc. And it's important to note that Piper herself wasn't named in the lawsuit. There's no direct legal claims against her. Like I said, she's still a minor. So Jeremiah Graham, who is one of the attorneys on the case, said when he first got involved, the parents were mainly worried about the damage to their kids' YouTube channels and how they were losing subscribers. So it was still very much a transactional lawsuit of you're fucking over my kid's business, essentially. But by March of 2024, the kids' parents found out about the emotional, verbal, and sexual abuse the kids had endured beyond just the YouTube bullshit that they were, going through. Now, this is another place where I would like to give a trigger warning. We're going to be talking about sexual harassment. I'm not going to go into the super nitty-gritty details, but just in case you don't want to hear it, fast forward a couple minutes. So basically, Claire and Reese were the first ones to tell their moms about the sexual abuse. And then at this big meeting, it became clear of oh, your kid went through that? And then another kid would be like, oh, me too. I went through that. I went through this. I went through this. And before you know it, they're talking about how all the kids had different but similar experiences with Tiffany. At one point, Tiffany supposedly asked Corinne if she had ever given a blowjob when she was 12 years old. Okay. And then she said, well, I could show you, like with Hunter. And the two of them just laughed really hard together. To a fucking 12-year-old. And Sophie said Tiffany had a creepy habit of using a made-up character called Lenny, a voice that she created based on a pet cat that had fucking died. And yeah, she would use this to basically like act out behaviors that made the kids extremely uncomfortable. And Lenny, this fake alter ego of Tiffany, was not, in the YouTube videos. It was something that she would do privately behind closed doors to the kids. Reese, at only 9 years old at the time, recalled a very scary encounter with Tiffany when she put her hands on her that left her hiding in fear for hours. Claire described a morning when Tiffany came into her room as quote-unquote Lenny, this alter ego, creepy, weird character, and would climb onto the bed, hover over her and Piper in a way that left Claire feeling trapped and powerless. And she said moments like that made her feel so frozen, unsure how to react, and afterwards they were expected to just move on like nothing happened and get back to filming. And Sophie said that she eventually started locking her bedroom door at night, but Tiffany always found a way in. And she said that even today she struggles to feel safe in her own space and that she sleeps with a knife by her bed out of fear that someone's going to try and come in her room when she's sleeping. Oh, it's just so fucking sad. And she said that there was a lot more that happened, but she didn't end up, getting into it on camera, so I can only imagine what it was. And Claire said that it hit her when she saw Tiffany doing the same things to Piper that she and Reese had endured, and that Piper possibly thought it was totally normal, and Claire didn't know how to come forward after that. And in early 2022, after the lawsuit was filed, YouTube actually ended up demonetizing Piper's account entirely. So her revenue from YouTube went from, her making $500,000-$600,000 a month to nothing. And, brand deals were falling through. The whole thing was essentially crumbling because obviously brands don't want to work with someone who's in a major scandal like that. Obviously, because of the lawsuit, they weren't making money, but Tiffany was like, well, shit, I'm not giving up. How are we going to make money outside of our normal platforms? And this is when they started turning to Snapchat and Brand Army, okay? So you guys all know what Snapchat is. I'm not going to get into that. Brand Army is often compared to OnlyFans, but it doesn't allow for nudity. But here's the weird part, you guys. You can be as young as 13 to post content, but subscribers have to be at least 18 to access it. So when you're posting content as a 13-year-old, you are posting it for 18 and over.
It's so weird.
I don't know. That's illegal, right? Or I guess if you're putting it out there yourself.
I don't know. I don't know.
Ugh. I don't know how, that's just not moral. It's just not morally correct.
It's insane. Yeah, so basically it's a content site for adult predators to watch children make content. It's so fucking weird. What's crazy is that, and not surprising at all, Meta actually had done an investigation into this and determined that a lot of the users who are willing to pay for this child content were users who indicated through their interactions on the platforms that they were likely sexually interested in the children, which, no shit, why else would you be watching them as an adult? So yeah, Piper's content became very much, provocative, and she was in bathing suits, doing sexy poses, just acting, older than her age. And like we had mentioned before, she's still doing this, which I don't fault her for. She's still a fucking minor. But, yeah, it's very disturbing to see her Instagram and TikTok because she truly does act so much older than she really is. So the complaint alleged that the plaintiffs weren't compensated for their time collaborating with Piper and that they were subjected to inappropriate, offensive, and abusive treatment, including wildly offensive and sexually explicit comments. And originally, each plaintiff was seeking $2 million, totaling $22 million, but the final settlement came out at just $1.85 million split between all of them. And supposedly, this was for a number of reasons, because the claims involved intentional torts like battery and sexual assault. There was no no insurance to cover it. That meant any payout had to come directly out of pocket. And many of the plaintiffs just wanted to be done and avoid the trauma of, of a trial that would last months, and, put so many of the kids and the moms and doctors and, everyone had to go to court and testify. Like, it would just be a whole fucking thing. And so I think to some degree they figured, okay, settling is probably easier to just be done with it and, be able to move on. So some of the most disturbing allegations in the lawsuit involve claims of sexual harassment and molestation. There are 26 incidents detailed under a section titled Miss Smith's Grossly Inappropriate, Offensive, and Abusive Treatment of the Plaintiffs. And we won't go through all of them, but here are a few that were listed. During a filming session, Miss Smith was referring to another squad member when she told Sophia F., quote, "I wonder since this squad member has freckles, whether he has a bunch of freckles on his dick. What the fuck?" And by the way, Miss Smith is Tiffany, which I feel like is pretty obvious, but in case you forgot, here's another one. Plaintiffs would frequently hear Miss Smith, aka Tiffany, refer to another squad member's penis as Dwayne the Rock Hard Johnson. Here's another one. Miss Smith would frequently assume an alter ego identified as Lenny the Dead Cat and chase plaintiffs around her house, the usual filming site for Piper's videos, shouting obscene and sexually graphic phrases such as, "I'm going to fuck you up the ass." I'm literally about to throw up even reading this. Just absolutely so repulsive. Here's another one. Allegedly, Miss Smith locked plaintiff Walker B into a bathroom for a discussion and told him that he and another male squad member were horny bastards for allegedly holding hands with two other female squad members. Miss Smith would also pressure Walker to be more sexually aggressive and physical with her daughter, Piper, so the pair's crush connection would appear more realistic in Piper's videos. And during one period of time, Miss Smith allowed a young adult to come onto the filming set and sexually harass the male plaintiffs by touching their private parts and otherwise backhanding or tapping them on their private parts. Sorry, I can't even. It's so fucking disgusting.
I think we get it. I think we get what she was doing. This is so disgusting.
Yeah. Talking about how sex sells, encouraging kids to take their shirt off. And of course, Tiffany denies all of this. Oh, God, just fucking pisses me off.
Yeah.
And the amount of kids saying what happened to them and the fact that
they just settled is absurd. Tiffany should be
she should be on a fucking list. Jail.
She should be on a fucking predator list.
Fucking jail. And yeah,
at the very minimum.
Settled.
Yeah.
She settled. I don't even, it's just, she had no consequences essentially.
And she's still doing it. And she's still doing it to her own daughter. And it's just so.
And who knows who else is involved?
There's so many kids.
Antics.
Well, right now, Piper has a fake boyfriend. So I'm sure this is continuing on.
Oh, it's so sick. Yeah, the fact that they settled and that she had no consequences essentially is just what's even more disturbing in all of this. Ugh, disgusting. Okay, so let's talk about Hunter Hill for a second, who, again, if you forgot, is the guy behind the cameras, the older brother, quote unquote, the boyfriend, quote unquote. Yeah, he didn't appear in the docuseries for an interview, but we do hear parts of his deposition, which were pretty revealing. He admits that he was the main person filming, editing, and producing the videos. Basically, he was, running the whole operation with Tiffany. And in the deposition, he's asked about the working conditions for the kids after, the long filming hours, the environment they're in, how much they knew about what's really going on in the house. And he mostly denies knowing about any misconduct or, inappropriate activities happening, and kind of positions himself as just a content creator. Like, hey, I was just there making the content. I didn't know about any of this. I wasn't really in charge of the kids. I was just the guy behind the scenes type of thing. But his deposition really adds to the bigger picture. It shows just how blurred the lines are between business, personal relationships, and what should have been basic boundaries for the fucking kids. And even if he didn't see himself as responsible for managing them, he was there through it all. And I just feel like that's really hard to ignore. How could you really have no idea that any of these things are happening when you are there with the kids 24/7. Like, I just don't believe that. So after the lawsuit was filed, the FBI reached out to the moms and told them that they wanted to talk to the girls. And the FBI visited with every kid who's in the lawsuit, but, you know, they won't file a case until they have a smoking gun and they know exactly the fact that they'll win the case. And in the doc, they discuss how the government seems to care less about the influencer industry and still sees it as a joke, which is so true. Now, this is kind of a side piece here, but Chris McCarty was featured in the doc, and Chris has an incredible organization, Quit Clicking Kids is what it's called. And Chris has been successful in creating legislation with the help of Demi Lovato, which we have talked about in the past, has also helped pass legislation with Gavin Newsom. And in 2024, the lawsuit was settled for $1.85 million without any admission of guilt from Tiffany or her partner, Hunter. And that was it. That's just basically wiped her hands clean and walked away. $1.85 million, which is like nothing for how much money they were fucking making, mind you. Yeah, I mean, it all brings the question of like, who's protecting these kids? This is so much bigger than just this case. You know, how do we make this a more streamlined and concrete topic? It's so nuanced, and I just don't know what the answer is. I really don't know. It's crazy though. Something has to be done.
It's crazy, like what Tiffany said after, before the release of the trailer. She gave a statement, I think, in People magazine.
Yeah. So she says, because she didn't, obviously, like we said, she had no involvement in the docuseries. But she says, obviously, we didn't do anything that was alleged, but sadly, money is a big motivator for certain personalities in this world. We made the decision to put this behind us because honestly, prolonged litigation would be even more harmful and painful to everyone involved, which includes kids. Dude, fuck you.
Funny that she cares about that right now.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
Because I honestly think that if they had gone to litigation, I think that she would have lost this case.
I do too.
Because there was just so much evidence to prove that she was...
With how many kids said what she did.
This isn't one child. This is many of them.
Yes.
Okay? And she finished off with, I do believe Piper will want justice one day. What the fuck? Shut up. And see that the truth is finally shared. But in the meantime, shame on Netflix for perpetrating a knowingly false narrative that put kids in danger. I truly can't wait for this all to be behind us. Yeah, I'm sure you can't, you fucking evil person. But yeah. It's insane. So as far as like Piper's response to this whole thing, she spoke a little bit after the documentary had already dropped. She told Rolling Stone that while the people in the doc aren't totally making stuff up, they're extending the truth. She says, I was there. I witnessed it every day. I think that they believe what they are saying, but I was there and I saw everything. And she said that her and her mom have always been really close, especially since her dad's never been in the picture. And she admitted that the doc hit her hard and left her in a dark place. But for now, she's not ready to tell her full side of the story. And Piper did address one of the most shocking claims in the doc, that her mom allegedly sold Piper's underwear, like we had talked about. And Tiffany has since denied doing this, and Piper backed that up in her interview, saying that she had a brand deal with Poshmark and made it clear I never sold any of my underwear.
That does.
So then if that's true, why wouldn't Tiffany just be like, oh no, that's not underwear, it's a shirt that I was selling? Which also doesn't make sense, because when you have a brand deal, they're not going to make you like sell your own clothes. At least I wouldn't think so.
No.
Like, okay, sell your own clothes, ship it out to someone. Like, that just doesn't seem like something a brand would do, even if it was a brand deal.
And also, why wouldn't Tiffany say that from the beginning?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Why wouldn't she be like, no, it's a brand deal. Like, it's not her underwear.
And for Tiffany to have allegedly told other moms that
that
it was underwear for Meghan.
Exactly.
Yeah. Corinne is like a kid. Like, why? She probably didn't even know that was the thing. So.
Right. Yeah, I just don't believe that at all. And honestly, maybe Piper doesn't even know.
She's a
that
child.
happened.
I'm
Yeah.
sure she doesn't.
Maybe she really truly believes like, no, that never happened. I wouldn't be surprised if Tiffany was doing this without Piper's knowledge of it. But yeah, she has defended her mom publicly, expressing, the emotional toll the situation has taken on her mental health. And she continues to have a huge presence online. She's, very active. She posts on TikTok and Instagram all the time. She's got over 14 million followers on TikTok, more than 6 million on Instagram. Like we said, her posts are, really provocative for someone who's only 17. And a lot of the stuff she promotes, I think, is very dangerous to promote for your audience who is majority young teens. I don't blame her for it. Like, I don't want to shame her at all. Clearly, she was manipulated by her mother from such a young age. But it's just sad that, like, I don't know if she's forced to post these things still. Who really knows what's going on, but she's a minor, and yeah, it's really just devastating. And as far as Tiffany, she's really kept a lot of her personal life out of things. It's believed that she's still in a relationship with Hunter, which, if that's true, then that really shows Hunter's character as well. Like, really, dude? After all this? Ugh, just disgusting. But yeah, supposedly, she's just kind of laying low and focusing on
herself.
On herself and her kid.
So stupid.
Continuing to help Piper live out her dream as a child star. Ugh, God, it's so disgusting. Okay, so to wrap things up here, I want to talk about one thing that came out after the doc was released. So Jenzten, who again did not participate in the documentary, but his mom did participate, he came out on his YouTube channel with a video. This was on April 12th. He posted a YouTube video that completely contradicts everything that his mom said in the documentary. So in the first part of his video, Jenzten makes it clear he wasn't manipulated by Tiffany the way his mom and Jennifer claimed. And instead, he says it was actually his mom who was taking his money and going behind his... Let's go ahead and watch a couple minutes of that.
All right, guys, it's time I share my side of the story. I never wanted any of this to be online, but with everything going on and the hate that my family was receiving, I can't say nothing anymore. There's been a lot happening behind the scenes for the last 4 years with my family, and it's all stayed behind the scenes until my mother decided to release this article online. She was the one who first took things public. I never said anything because I still wanted a possible relationship with my mother. I let people believe lies about me and my family. Then my mom decides to go on one of the biggest streaming platforms in the entire world and share my family's story. So now I have no choice but to defend myself. I feel like I have to do this for my own sake. I wanted to make sure these 3 things were very clear. I never gave permission for Netflix to use my name or likeness in anything that they did. Tiffany also did not manipulate me into doing and making the decisions that I made. I haven't talked to Tiffany in a very long time, and she certainly didn't push me to make the decisions that I made in the past either. And also, I am not trying to discredit anyone who is a victim of in any way, shape, or form. In the early days of my career, my mom was there and she helped me film and she helped me edit a lot of the videos in the beginning. But she went behind my back and created a company. She signed legal documents without my knowledge or my consent to where she owned 50% of my company, where she got 50% of all revenue that I brought in, 50% of my YouTube AdSense, 50% of my brand deals. In the documentary, my mom and Jennifer said that Tiffany manipulated me into thinking that my mom was stealing my money. Tiffany never did that. I didn't need anyone to manipulate me because it was the truth. These are the bank statements of my mom taking my money. I was hurt by it. I worked hard for that money. As time kept moving, my mom filed for divorce. And after all of that, since my mom still had control over all of my assets, she went behind my back again and created another bank account where she would transfer all my money from YouTube and brand deals into it. She grew it to over $100,000. I saw it with my own eyes on her laptop and I never saw it again. And speaking of money, a little bit further on down the line, my mom would deny me brand deals. Not because there was anything wrong with the brand deal, but it was because she was afraid she wouldn't get a piece of it. There was this particular deal where I was offered a large amount of money in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And because she was afraid that she wouldn't get a piece of it, she said no. So I lost out on that too. When you hear people in the documentary saying that they were exploited, this is where I was financially exploited by my own mother, not by anyone else.
What this has made me realize is these parents all fucking suck.
Yes, absolutely. I think that all these parents are just as culpable as Tiffany, especially his mom, because his mom went on this whole tirade.
Yeah.
Jenzten doesn't necessarily he doesn't negate anything that Tiffany did.
Right.
He just makes it a bigger point that these parents are fucking culpable.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're money hungry.
Yeah. Money hungry. And that she's going on there and trying to act like, oh, I'm so innocent. I'm a victim too. All I wanted was to help my son. And he's literally coming out with receipts of like, no, bitch, you stole from me too. It's so insane, you guys. What is wrong with these fucking parents? I am sorry. It's just so disturbing. Okay, so then he shares details about his parents' divorce and everything he had gone through in order to be emancipated from his mom. So let's go ahead and watch that.
So obviously things were rocky with my family. We went to counseling, try and make things better, try and solve things, try and solve issues between all of us. That whole experience sucked for me. It turned out it was all a waste of time because my mom, while we were going through counseling, had already filed for divorce. So why were we going through counseling? I have no idea. And I had to witness my dad getting served. I was about 14 at the time. Because things were so messy with my parents' divorce and no one could make any decisions, the court, the judge, decided that they saw fit that my sister would be my temporary guardian, which meant she could make decisions for me because I was a minor, but she could only make personal decisions, meaning about school and my well-being and my health and all these things. She couldn't make any financial decisions, anything regarding my company, because my mom still had control over 50%. And it was even worse because everything had to go through the court. Here are emails of me trying to communicate with my mom about business expenses, trying to get things approved. I couldn't invest my money. I couldn't buy a car for myself when I turned 16. I was stuck in a house. I couldn't invest my money into property if I wanted to. I couldn't do anything with my money. Because of my mom and all these difficult things that I went through, I couldn't set myself up for success with it. At the end of everything, to settle with my mom, I had to negotiate with her. It was never about doing what was best for me. The fact that I had to negotiate with my mom so I can go be successful. You would think that's what a mother would want for her child. But no, she, during the negotiation process, wanted $25,000 and she would leave me be. Then I was able to get it down to $17,500. That whole process that I just mentioned was so that I could emancipate myself. And to make this very clear, to prove why my mom was lying in the documentary, I emancipated myself a year or two after I left the squad. A year or two of me not even talking to Tiffany. So if I was not in the squad and if I wasn't talking to Tiffany, then how did Tiffany manipulate me? She didn't.
And then finally, he shares a specific moment where his mom betrayed his trust, making decisions behind his back and using her power over him in ways he describes as traumatizing. Take a look.
One of the earliest moments or stories when my mom betrayed my trust was after a long day of filming. I was really tired afterwards and I wanted to go get food. My mom picked me up from filming and I specifically asked her if I could go get Panda Express. And I asked if we could go to one with a drive-thru because I didn't want to get out of the car because I was tired. My mom said, okay. On the way to Panda Express, I see her acting really suspicious. She was driving, texting, and was holding her phone by her hip. And I thought it was odd. But then we get to Panda Express. It wasn't one with a drive-thru. She parks next to this car. And two people get outside of that car and start knocking on my window. It was my ex-girlfriend and her mother. At this point, I wasn't on speaking terms with my ex-girlfriend. I didn't want to talk to her for multiple reasons. As my ex-girlfriend is knocking on the window, and my mom's getting out of the car, I lock the car. I call my family, not knowing what to do because I can't get myself out of this situation. I'm trapped. My mom set this all up. But she did it once again behind my back without talking to me. She lied straight to my face. Another time, we went to Disneyland for Piper's birthday one year. My mom knew I was going. My whole family knew I was going. But my mom was unhappy. She decided to call the Anaheim Police Department and file a missing persons report on her son. I wasn't missing. I was with tons of adults in a safe place at Disneyland in a nice hotel, just trying to have fun and make content. I started getting calls from the police department, not knowing what I did wrong, scared because I was young. They made me pack up all my stuff in front of my friends like I was some criminal. I had to sit outside the hotel lobby with the police officers for 3 hours, waiting for my mom to come pick me up. Keep in mind, Disneyland was only an hour away from our house, maybe an hour and a half at most. I was also being recognized by you guys. I love you guys, but obviously I didn't want you to see me in that scenario with two police officers looking like I did something wrong. It was very traumatizing and traumatic for me. My mom finally showed up. The police went and talked to her separately. They actually told her what she was doing was wrong. They told her by doing this, it was only going to push her son further away from her, which it did. So then my mom finally got me. I was very mad at her, and she drove me 2 blocks around Disneyland and dropped me right back off at Disneyland for me to go and enjoy my day. So after all that effort she put into all that, filing a missing persons report, making me sit outside Disneyland for 3 hours, none of what she did ever really made sense. My mom, when our family was going through this mess, would go into my room after I would leave, and she would go through my text messages with my girlfriend, my text messages with everyone. She would take photos of those text messages and use them against me in court. Here are the photos on screen. My mom accused me of doing drugs and filming inappropriate content that can't go on YouTube, which was so far from the truth. I've never touched a drug in my entire life. So now, with all that being said, I did not agree to be in the documentary. The producers contacted me and sent me this release for them to use my likeness and my image. I never signed it, and then they did it anyways, and they did not pay me. They also did not have permission to use me in any of the promotional materials. I also did tell the producers I would not feel comfortable participating in the documentary if it took the direction that I believed it would take, which it did. I also do not agree how Netflix portrayed the events, especially relating to my mom. And for the record, it is of my personal belief and my legal counsel's opinion that this violates my publicity rights under the California Code. As far as Tiffany manipulating me, I majorly disagree with a ton of Tiffany's actions, but I have not been in contact with her. She's not been in contact with me. I did this because of the actions my mom took and how badly she hurt me, my family, and my sister as well. So to be very clear, Tiffany was never involved in any of our family issues. I don't even know how she would have been. So my mom saying that in the documentary was also a big lie. And to make the record very clear, Tiffany is not the reason why I don't have a relationship with my mother. My mother is the reason why I don't have a relationship with my mother, because of her actions. Lastly, I want people to understand that I fully support survivors of SA, and my heart goes out to every survivor, and I'm not making this video to discredit anyone who has gone through that. That is not my intentions at all. That being said, I personally did not have that experience, and I don't want to be placed in that narrative without my consent.
Fuck these people, dude.
I know. Even, Netflix, I'm like, what the?
I guess they don't know what they don't know. I still think overall the documentary was well done.
Yeah.
However, I think this aspect of it, this puts a whole new light on it, you know?
Yeah.
Which if what he's saying is true, which based off of everything he just shared, it really seems to be like it is the truth.
Right.
Yeah, it really paints a whole different picture of his mom than how she was portrayed in the doc. Which I'm like, you fucking people. Just like, I don't know. I don't even know what to fucking say.
It's insane. I guess, yeah, you're right. She could have gotten on because she's like, oh, I dealt with Tiffany, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So they're like, oh, we want more people.
Right.
And for her to completely lie.
Yeah.
Is wild.
So disappointing. Yeah. So, Jonna, Jensen's mother, posted a response to his YouTube video on TikTok. Let's go ahead and watch that.
Jenzten, I don't agree with what you're saying or how you're saying it, but I do understand your perspective, pain, anger, and resentment about the squad, about our family situation, your new life, and how betrayed you feel by me. And it breaks my heart. I protected and saved my 14-year-old son who didn't want to be saved or protected. And I believe all he ever wanted from me was to love and respect him and his boundaries and let him stay in the squad with his friends. And I didn't. And I'm sorry. Your grandmother, who died while fighting for you, she and I, and even your sister Liana that way, fought tooth and nail to save you and protect you from a predator and her supporters who constantly came after my minor child, even at Anaheim. And in that process, embarrassed and humiliated you in front of your friends. And for that, I'm sorry. I destroyed a world that you numerous times told me that you felt happy and safe in. And for that, I'm sorry. A world where you had adventures, fun, laughs, made lots of money in, and was blinded by the glamour. But all things that glitter are not gold. I understand why a child wouldn't grasp the magnitude of the situation, or why 11 of their families filed a $22 million lawsuit against that environment I risked it all to save my child from. An environment so bad, a major studio, Netflix, produced a documentary to show that this was not okay for my son or any other child. I'm sorry that our family has been torn apart over this. And I'm sorry that you don't have enough people around you, family included, to explain why a loving parent for no amount of money would leave their child in an unsafe environment. I'm sorry, but I love you, and that's my job, to care for you and shape you and protect you and sacrifice for you, even if it means you're mad at me. You'll understand one day when you have a child of your own. I just wish you had more friends and family who taught you how to heal instead of how to feed your resentment on social media. If I had done the things you were accusing me of, hair, nails, clothes would look more like the lifestyle I had been accustomed to, and I would not have had to sell my car and my mother's car to drive the one I currently have. I'm practically homeless, and I'm on food stamps. My hair falls out at the roots and cure my nails. My doctor says it's stress due to the things like this happening right now. Your fans know that I've not been on social media, but I feel obligated to respond because my children are hurting. With regards to the banking withdrawals on the screenshot you shared, those are to the Way to Save account. These are transfers you and I made together to the tax savings account for IRS purposes. We jointly decided to save 50% of the funds for taxes. I have receipts documenting all transfers related to taxes and expenses, and we'll go over them with you when you are ready. Displaying your finances on social media is again poor advisement from your inner circle, especially since you requested those items be sealed in court from public view. The court-ordered therapy you agreed to for your emancipation would be the right place for this. I simply wanted to address the issue promptly though, Jenzten, and if I cared about the money, I would have left you in the squad. Now that you are an adult, I will treat you like one. There's a difference between being a mature man and not an adult child. I would love to talk more about this with you, and it should be handled maturely, not by people who dance in videos around you and suggest that a video is how to handle it. However, it was never a private matter because of all you do on social media. You can't have it both ways. But I pray God will continue to watch over you for all that you're doing during this difficult time. And I'm sorry I wasn't who you wanted me to be. Everything I did was to protect you and other parents and other children so they are not manipulated, violated, or silenced. I love you to the moon and back, Mom.
Why do you have to go on the internet and do that? And you're kind of like guilt tripping him true. I don't know. I just think the whole thing is so fucking ridiculous. And I'm sure, I would assume, you know, there's his story, her story, and then there's the actual story.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think
she was totally reading.
Yeah, she's totally reading.
Well, also the fact that she's wearing a shirt that says Jenzten.
Yeah, I'm assuming
like,
it's his merch.
Right. I don't know. She was completely being like, nobody else cares for you the way that I care for you.
It's just like, dude, get off the fucking internet, okay? And
well, she's like, this is something that should have been talked about in therapy. I'm like, you're doing the same exact thing by posting this online.
Get off the internet.
Yeah.
Again, all these kids were done such a disservice by their parents.
Absolutely.
There's any way you slice it, these kids were fucked over by their parents.
I agree with that 100%, Karelly. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, maybe parts of that, she was telling the truth or she had a good intention. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, what happened is so disturbing. And yeah, you can't negate, you know, tons of kids coming out and saying that they had these similar experiences with Tiffany and just the amount of abuse and harassment they endured, not just physical, but emotional, mental, financial, and just the amount of work and labor that they put into it. I mean, obviously he has every right to feel the way he does too, and I don't know, I just think the whole thing is so devastating and just disturbing and sick. It's just like, what the fuck is wrong with people?
Also, it just kind of shows too, like how people will do like the moment they started to see the numbers and it's like they kept running down the hole. Like they couldn't, they're so blinded.
Yep. They really like got put on rose-colored glasses and just, I don't know, ignored the red flags, I guess.
They were like blaring red flags. It's crazy.
You know, it's really crazy. I know. Yeah, it's absolutely devastating. But I feel like this really does need to be talked about. I can't believe it hasn't gotten more coverage. And my heart goes out to all of those kids, you know, Piper included. I just feel so sad that they were taken advantage of at such a young age and their entire childhood was stripped from them. They basically never got to be kids. And now it's too late. So it's just awful.
It's so disgusting too. And I mentioned this earlier, but there was this, it was more recently, this TikTok with Piper and Katy Perry. They were doing like a little like collab or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were doing like a dancing video, and Piper was literally wearing a shirt that said "Breed me."
That's
like, that is so disgusting.
Me. It's so devastating.
Yeah.
And again, like, I don't blame her. She doesn't know.
She doesn't know.
Fucking kid.
Well,
This is all she knows.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is all she knows, and just I'm assuming her mom. Well, her mom did say sex sells, so she's getting on there and she's like, doing what you got to do.
Yeah, sick. Well, let us know if you guys have watched this series. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts were. And yeah, I mean, I just think this is obviously a conversation that we'll continue to have. We've had many times on the show, and this is just another example of how insane, the social media world can be and how dangerous it is to children specifically. And something needs to be done. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know, but it can't go on like this. It's so bad. And I'm sure there's so many things that, the documentary didn't include because it's not known or it's not public info. And yeah, I hope one day that these kids can be freed from the abuse that they endured, and I don't know, hopefully get the therapy and help that it would be required to move on from something so traumatic. But that is going to be it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Poor Kendall. I think she has like food poisoning or something, because she was fine and all of a sudden she was not fine, like threw up. So thanks for sticking it out with us, or with me and Sid and Karelly. And thanks for watching. We love you, and we'll see you in the next Sesh. But until then, keep it fresh.